put the children to bed. It's time for Dan and Aldo to bare their souls.
I love the Chicago Bears more than I do masturbating, and that is a lot.
Then, with 3 seconds left, Bob Avellini throws a 30-something yard touchdown pass to Greg Latta, and the Bears win, and I literally shit my pants. I swear to God, I literally did.
Eric Kramer, for me, I love the guy. He's a tragic figure. I mean, he embodies all that is.
If they don't run the ball here, I'm going to vomit. I swear to God.
Look, I don't mean any disrespect. He just didn't play that well. Not for a guy of his caliber.
You know, they won, but I'm going to be miserable all week because they stunk.
I don't really have any recollection of that at all, but I guess perhaps I blacked it all out.
So, Dan, tape is the ultimate tool for scouts and for coaches to evaluate players, to detect plays and so forth. And they spend hours looking at tape, right? Why do they so often get shit wrong?
I love the efficiency of bourbon.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dan and Aldo.
Welcome to... Wow, I shut that off pretty quick.
Where did the intro go?
Oh, man. I'm getting old. I've made so many mistakes today, like on the Greg Gabriel stuff. And I don't think anything was noticeable to the audience, but I just, you know, I was typing things in wrong. My spelling was atrocious. And I think it's because I just have not been sleeping well the last few days. But so expect
I know
a lot
what
of
it is.
mistakes. What is
I know
it?
what it is. There's nothing else to talk about. That's it.
Right.
I mean, we're here. Like I like the fact that we're still here and trying to deliver content and trying to interact with people and trying to talk Bears because it's we're obsessed, right? That's the thing. Mm-hmm. But like your countdown says, the draft 15 days to until then, there's really nothing else to say. It's the same thing.
Yeah,
it's the same. We think we'll get Caleb Williams. Who can we draft over the 9th? Are we going to trade? I mean, how many times can we talk about that? So you get into an area of not being complacent, but you're just like stagnant. I think that leads to the mistakes and just like, you don't want to take off for 2 weeks, but what is there to say until then?
Yeah.
What is there to say?
There are, you know, more obscure players that you can talk about, like who should the Bears pick at 122? But the thing is, you know, we have a show for that on Wednesday and Greg's show on Mondays or Tuesdays. You know, they cover that. This show is much more than just football. So at least we're going to talk about Jack Nicolson today. Tooch texted me and said, Bear State of Affairs is going to be great. I want to talk about the history of quarterbacks and so forth. And I'm really looking forward to that. Plus, you know, not only just his Bear State of Affairs, but also your comments, because you know the Chicago Bears history as well as anybody that I know, that's for sure. And so that's going to be interesting. But aside from that, and talking about Jack Nicolson, aside from that, you and I got to fill this first hour. So let's talk about sex. I don't know. We did that.
Hey, I hope last week's show was not off-putting to some. I mean, I guess it's always going to be off-putting to some, but, you know, Nikki was here. We talked twats and coitus and orgasms and stripping, and it was certainly a rated R show. It was kind of a throwback to our earlier stuff because we hadn't shared all these fuck stories before. Now we're recycling stories. So I thought it was great, though. I thought it was great. One thing I wanted to bring up since we're filling time as well. Do you recall on Saturday? I don't know if you were just busy and it said that you saw it. John Hinckley Jr. Did you read that?
I glanced over it. Yeah, it did.
It's remarkable to me. Okay, so forget how you are political, whether you're on the left or the right. Shooting the president, not a good thing. Not a good thing. This man shot President Reagan and is out. He could be on the show right now. He could be putting over his music. John Hinckley Jr. is a free man, but there's a flag on Twitter. I was invited to join the John Hinckley community, the JHC, and he has a flag. And this is some of the stuff. If you are interested, this man should be. He should be so happy to be free, but he's complaining that like he can't get gigs. He wants to play guitar. He wants to open for Foo Fighters. The John Hinckley community. This is per their mission statement, is a refuge from this wicked world. We're a place where you can feel safe and cherished. The world will laugh at you and mock you and disown you, but the John Hinckley community will embrace you and give you all the love you need. This man shot the president. He shot the president. Sirhan's like, motherfucker, the autopsy said that I didn't even shoot Bobby and I'm still in jail.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I bet you if I went out in the street and did, a man on the street poll, I bet you that 100% of the people under the age of 40 wouldn't know who John Hinckley is.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah. And probably people from 50 to 60, I don't know what age, but the rest of the people who would know about John Hinckley, I bet you maybe 50% would say, I don't care. It doesn't matter anymore.
He's trying to start a cult. He has a flag and everything.
Yeah.
If you have a flag, that's always that's a quote red flag.
That's right. Very good point.
That's a bad thing.
So he was released over a year ago?
God, I don't know now. When I'm getting invited to join the John Hinckley community on Twitter, I'm like, why do they think this is something I want to do?
Yeah.
Oh, Bearski Film. Let me give them a shout out. I was on their podcast last week, and the gentlemen were very kind to me, and I want to put them over. So,
yeah, the link to that podcast I can't find anywhere. Some nice edits from the interview were on X and Bearski Film. If you want to put your Twitter handle in the comments, I'll share it with people so they can follow you. But I'm still looking for the entire interview. I saw 3 really nice clips on X, so it's intriguing, and I want to see how it went.
Yeah, they're both.
You told me privately that you had a terrible time.
It was awful. No. Both gentlemen were fun. Both guys were fun, and Bears fans,
Excellent. Looking forward to seeing the full interview. Thank you, Bearski. I was going to say, regarding John Hinckley, Bearski Film says that he doesn't know him, and he's in his mid-30s. Hinckley fell in love with Jodie Foster, who was in the movie Taxi Driver, and the Travis Bickle character, Robert De Niro's character, he portrays Travis Bickle. And so he's trying to impress another woman named the actress Sybil Shepherd, who plays a political consultant in the movie. He's trying to impress her, so he goes.
Didn't she fuck Elvis?
Sybil Shepherd? I don't know if she did or not.
She's in Last Picture Show too, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh! And a very provocative scene where they show her breasts. Very nice. Very, very good looking. She was in the TV show Moonlighting with Bruce Willis. That was his first big break, and they ran very successfully for some 5-6 years, and then both of them got into movies and never looked back. Although
Die Hard made him an action star forever.
Oh, which is not a Christmas movie, by the way. Stop with that. Stop. But Mark says that Hinckley will probably be working for Bobby Kennedy's campaign staff.
Wow.
That's funny. That is funny. All right. So I do want to talk a little bit about the Bears before John gets here and really helps us with this material.
Wonder if John is in the John Hinckley community. I'm kidding.
I think he's in the MAGA community, but I don't know about the John Hinckley.
I wonder which side of the aisle he's on. I mean, he shot Reagan, so does that mean he's on the left? But the fact that he shot someone with guns, does that mean he's on the right? I don't know where Hinckley stands.
I think Hinckley for president is where he stands.
Wow.
That's wild. Do you think that Die Hard 3 was the best of the Die Hard movies?
It was really good, and I hated part 2. And so I didn't have any expectations for 3, but Samuel L. Jackson was a great addition. They make Bruce Willis go to like the hood and wear a sign with the N-word, and it was a little uncomfortable, but I have to go with part 1 as the best.
You didn't like part 2, huh?
No, I hated part 2. I was immensely disappointed with part 2.
Why?
I don't know. I saw it when it first came out, and I just hated it. And did you know that Bonnie Bedelia, the lady that's his wife in those films, is Macaulay Culkin's aunt?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Bonnie Bedelia.
Here goes another one. Another did you know? I'm really stretching now. We're making sure the time goes by. You know the film I Spit on Your Grave?
Sure do.
On the VHS cover of that is a young teenage girl who's not in the film named Demi Moore, who of course would later marry Bruce Willis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the box, not the film, but the box, the front VHS cover is Demi Moore.
Wow.
Her butt and her back.
Did you ever see Blame It on Rio with Michael Caine?
Oh yeah, I did. I enjoyed that film. I read Demi Moore's book. That's how I know that about the I Spit on Your Grave, and it's actually on I Spit on Your Grave's Wikipedia now. But reading that book, Demi hated Blame It on Rio and was like, oh, it's an example of an old man's wet dream. And she's right.
She's absolutely right, which is why I love the movie.
It's very good. And another fun fact, she played on the movie No Small Affair. She said on the set, she took John Cryer's virginity.
Wow. What movie was this?
No Small Affair. In the movie, Demi's like in her early to mid 20s and fucks Cryer, who's supposed to be a high school senior. But in reality, she said they did fuck and she took his virginity.
Whoa.
And she said she broke his heart and she regretted that, but she just wanted some dick, you know.
So what drove you to read her autobiography?
I always liked Demi Moore. I was a fan of a lot of her films, like About Last Night. I really liked. Set in Chicago. A lot of, if you watch it, you'll see like Jim McMahon, Walter Payton stuff all through the film. Jim Belushi's in it. I liked a lot of her movies. And then, you know, she got savagely fucked by another Bears fan, the guy from That 70s Show, Ashton Kutcher. So she gives her side of the story and all that. So yeah, I enjoyed the read, man. I kind of grew up with Demi Moore.
Yeah, very cool. Demond asks who is the best action movie villain, and Mr. Mayhem says Hans Gruber is the best. You got a best action movie villain? Action movie.
But if it's an action movie, does that mean he has to be in sequels? Because Hans is only into one.
No.
Just one film.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not really it's more of a drama, but man, what popped out in my head was Bruce Dern and Black Sunday.
Oh.
I mean, that's kind of an action film too, but where he's the Vietnam vet who feels the country betrayed him and like joins the Palestinians to try to blow up the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because he's the blimp driver or pilot.
Mm-hmm. So I like that one. Very obscure. I don't think that would pop into the mind of a lot of people.
Well, if you're a football fan, you should watch that, man. All those scenes are shot at Super Bowl 10.
Totally agree. I think the movie is a little too long, and even the scenes at the Super Bowl, dragged a little too long, in my opinion.
I love it.
That movie was over 2 hours. John Frankenheimer, great film director.
Yeah, but you can't go wrong with Alan Rickman there as Hans Gruber, though. Yeah, Schwarzenegger, I love him in Terminator 1. If you all don't know this story, since we're really coming up with nuggets, originally, O.J. Simpson was going to be the Terminator. Can you imagine that? If we were watching The Chase, the NBA Finals have been interrupted. The White Bronco, the Terminator is going. He has killed his wife. Could you imagine that? Well,
wow.
The reason that didn't happen is they wanted Arnold. They wanted Arnold big time. In fact, do you remember those Conan movies?
Yeah, sure.
I'm not a big fan of them, but originally they were about to start shooting the Terminator. And what's that guy's name? Dino Della. How do you know pronounce it?
De Laurentiis. Dino De Laurentiis.
That gentleman had a contract and said, I don't give a fuck what you're doing with this Terminator movie. You got to come do the sequel for Conan. So the Terminator cast and crew waited for him to finish. Like they waited 4 months not working for Arnold to finish that other film and to come back. But anyway, the point of the story is Schwarzenegger read the script and he said, because they wanted him to play the good guy, Michael Bian's character, to protect Sarah Connor. He's just like, now I see myself as the Terminator. He's like, I just feel like I'm the Terminator. So he like campaigned and obviously won out, and that screwed over OJ as the Terminator.
Yeah, Bruja just posted the same news that you just did. I agree with anyone who says that Arnold is the best movie villain in Terminator 1. And the fact that he came back in Terminator 2 as the good guy, I mean, if somebody would have pitched that to me, I would have said, what are we doing? That's not right.
That's worked, though.
Work. It did. And Terminator 2 is probably my number one action movie of all time. Raiders of the Lost Ark probably second.
I can make an argument for loving I love T2 as well, but when I watched the Terminator, I know it's a completely different film. It's low budget. They shot at night to help, mitigate budget concerns. But man, when I'm watching the Terminator, like, I don't feel like it's a different film. It's completely different, but it holds up against Terminator 2, in my opinion.
It does. I agree. King Booker World says that, the producers also said they couldn't picture OJ as a killer because he was so nice. Yeah, at the time, OJ had, the reputation, the image of being one of the nicest athletes, actors of all time. I mean, that guy was on commercials for Hertz and toothpaste and you name it. Nordberg, yeah, big hit on those police story movies.
They're remaking that with Liam Neeson playing Leslie Nielsen's character. Liam Neeson, who's been doing like Taken 1 through 19 the last decade, from Schindler's List. Liam Neeson as Lieutenant Frank Drebin, Police Squad.
See, I would veto that. It'll probably be a big hit, but I would veto that. Yeah, Liam Neeson made a hit movie, Taken, and then has done that same role in different movies probably
44 times.
Yeah, truly. I mean, what an asshole. We're going to talk in depth about the Jack Nicholson movies, but one of the reasons why is because Dan Aguire saw him and Nikki, his fiancee, saw The Passenger last week, a week or two ago, and you did not like it. Tell us why you didn't.
I wanted to like it. I love Jack Nicholson. Mm-hmm. Like I said, we watched maybe 20, 30 minutes of it, and I was like, man, maybe I'm just missing out on the dialogue or something. Mm-hmm. So we both took a leak. She smoked a cigarette, whatever. We came back in, started it over, watched with the subtitles on. We both were trying to like this film.
Mm-hmm.
It rambles aimlessly without much of a plot. There's scenes that don't advance the plot. We were like, why did they just show that? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know what. And I like 70s films. There's a different pace to older movies than there are today because people don't have attention spans. I'm not one of those people. I don't mind a 2.5, 3 hour movie. This wasn't that long, but I don't know what they were doing. The pacing sucked. The story, and oftentimes the scenes didn't advance it. I don't even know why they showed this man or that man, or the editing just didn't seem to do anything. It was just all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
It's all over the place is the way I would describe it. And it rambles aimlessly like me on air. And I didn't like it, man. I wanted to like it. I love The Shining. You're wearing the Shining shirt. I love The Shining. I thought that movie, like, if they didn't have Nicholson, could they have even gotten financing? Like, because Jack is so much above this film, in my opinion. I don't know what the fuck he was doing on it.
All right, so let me, because I did see it, because I've always wanted to see it, and it's just one of those movies that eluded me, and so I was surprised when you said you hated it. I go, well, now I really have to see it. So I saw it this weekend, and I've seen it 2 more times since, because I found the film to be fucking hypnotic. And to share with the audience quickly the plot line. Jack Nicholson plays a reporter who is in Africa covering the government that's filing some guerrillas, and he's trying to find these guerrillas to get an interview with them, and he's running out of luck. Some kid takes him out to the middle of the desert, somebody else takes him and abandons him there, and then his truck gets fucked up in the sand, and he's banging on the fucking truck and saying, I don't care, almost like a baby. And he really doesn't care anymore. He doesn't care to be a reporter. He doesn't care to be out in Africa doing this film that he's doing. And when he gets back to the hotel room, there's a guy staying in the room next to him who looks somewhat similar to him. And so he kind of enters his room to go talk to him, and he finds the guy dead. And so he thinks about it and says, this is my opportunity to fucking start over, to be somebody else.
Can I interject on that?
Please.
First off, that summary was perfect. You already nailed it at that juncture. And I think if the film were really dialed in on the fact that he was like, whether he was depressed or, you self-loathing, and he wanted to change his identity, wanted a fresh start. If it wanted to advance upon any of these themes, it could have been really great. But after that, he takes the dude's identity, he converts his photo with, he meshes up their passports.
Right.
So everyone thinks that Nicholson's character has died, and he is now this other man who, oh, by the way, is an arms dealer, from what I could ascertain. It was selling weapons for political purposes and such. If they really thought, the movie doubled down on any of these themes, then maybe I could find some love for it. But after that, it just goes on. It just goes on and on and on. And please tell me what you like about it.
You're absolutely right. From a storyline perspective, it does meander. It does takes its time and so forth. But I was just mesmerized by the imagery. All of these desert scenes, and then they go to the cities, and everything now is different. The buildings are on top of him. He's being chased because the identity of the man he assumes is a gun runner, and so now he's got. Forget, being a journalist who can't find the guys to interview. Now he's being pursued by people who are trying to buy guns off of him, and the police too. Plus his ex-wife, and I don't know if they're divorced yet, but his estranged wife is now looking for him because she's heard that he's dead. And so she's trying to talk to the guy who found him, which is really the Jack Nicholson character. And so there's a lot of really good plot here. But the director is like not fucking interested so much in the plot as in the idea of starting over. And you mentioned last week, Dan, that Nicholson got ownership of the film and wouldn't play it. So I did some research to find out what was going on here. And apparently he loves the film so much, and he was worried that an American distributor would re-edit the film, and he didn't want that, which is why it sat for a couple of decades. And then finally he made an agreement with Sony because they wanted to release the DVD. And he said, I'll let you re-release it, but you can't touch a single frame. So this Michelangelo Antonioni, this Italian filmmaker, is a guy who his whole creative mojo is on vision. This is Jack Nicholson talking about Antonioni.
The magnificent work of one of the great masters of cinema, Michelangelo Antonioni. If you think you can work with this particular old Italian bird without thinking, you've got another think coming. He's very stimulating in every way. He's about what anybody who wants to make anything. He simply loves making beautiful things. He has deservedly a kind of status with his people. He is the maestro, and of course he is, and he's neither modest nor immodest about it. But he, like anybody who's worth their salt, he's capable of departing his own dogma. I can tell you, he's very open about what he thinks about these things, and this doesn't keep anyone who works with him from loving him. He's thought really all of his work was simply a documentary on the day of shooting, that's really the most spontaneous thing of all, and that's really what he was after, Passenger. Incidentally, he reduced all this reducing of the actor's use to me in one simple statement. Jack, nothing wrong, but for me, the actor is a moving space.
I can't hear you. There you go.
Now, he has total disregard for the actors. He has total disregard for the plot line. What he is most fascinated with, and I'm talking about Antonioni, is the visuals and going out on the day of shooting and just creating based on, oh, look at that, turn the camera over here kind of thing. And I respect that because I respect people taking risks with their movies. Now, some of these movies are so fucking challenging that a lot of times I give up halfway through them. All right, I'm not getting it. But for some reason, I was challenged to try to understand what he did. And after watching it 2.5 times, I didn't watch it the third time completely, I was just fucking mesmerized by his imagery. I wouldn't recommend it to most people. I would just say...
Nikki just sent me a text. She said, and again, she's a smart woman. So I mean, I'm not just saying that because we have intercourse or whatever, but like legitimately a smart woman. And she says, the thing with the film, I just don't get it. I don't know. It's just not for me. Yeah. And I feel like her direct quote was, I didn't get it. And I felt the same way. But interestingly, if I could draw a comparison to another film, please. I see your point. Because I think that's what I sort of liked about Bobby Deerfield, the Al Pacino film. Had all these great visuals, even if the story itself wasn't that great. And I love Al. But on Bobby Deerfield, you kind of didn't like it. And I did sort of like it. I think the argument I would make for Deerfield is kind of what you're arguing for this. And my argument against this is the one that you would use against Deerfield, interestingly.
Yeah.
It just kind of goes, there's a love story, but is there? I don't know,
Interesting. Yeah, that's on my list of films to see. There's a couple of Pacino movies I've never seen.
No, you saw it. You didn't like it. You said it was good. You watched it on TCM about a year ago.
Oh, that's right. I don't even fucking remember I watched that. How much I disliked it.
Yeah, you didn't like it. You thought it was okay at best, is what you said. It's all right. It's just, you never wanted to watch it again.
Yeah, which is weird because that was the movie right after he did The Godfather, right after he did Serpico, right after he debuted in Panic in Needle Park. He was fucking red hot. And then I was looking forward to seeing Bobby Deerfield because of the racing scenes. And then I read a couple of reviews. It was so. And then it went away and never caught up with it. So now I do remember that I saw it about a year ago and just thought it was, but maybe I should give it another chance because everyone that's associated with that film is great. Besides
Martha
Pacino,
Keller, she was in Black Sunday. I think I don't know if it's Martha or Martha. It's Marthe. I don't know how you.
I think it's Martha. Yeah.
Well, yeah, she was in Black Sunday as well, and that's Pacino's lover in Bobby Deerfield, and they started fucking in real life at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they went out for 2 or 3 years. This is the other. Well, no, not this one, but Scent of a Woman is the other Pacino I've never seen, where he's blind.
I saw that. Yeah.
It's 2.5, 3 hours, and I've never, said, I want to sit down and watch this, but I want to.
I've watched it one time, and I thought it was okay, and I'm glad Al won the award because he got passed over so many times. It's kind of like Training Day. When Denzel won for Training Day, you're like, oh, that's cool because it's Denzel, but he's made so many other movies that were worthy of his award, winning an award, that you're like, oh, okay, whatever. If he wins for Training Day, fine. I mean, Training Day's fine, but I mean, Denzel had made so many great films prior to that deserved more recognition than Training Day.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I feel about Al with Sin of a Woman. Sin of a Woman's okay. I don't love it, but by that time, Al was getting older, like his peak is definitely his 70s and 80s films. Or early 80s and stuff,
Yeah. So we're going to talk more about Jack Nicholson after Tooch delivers his Bare State of Affairs. We want to go through his itinerary or his resume of movies and comment on some of the ones that we like the best.
Well, before we go to Bears, let me give you one more Jack teaser.
Please.
This week, I forget the exact day, but look it up on TCM, or maybe it's the weekend. They're doing some Brando movies, and one of them I really like with Nicholson is called The Missouri Breaks.
I saw it.
Okay. That's coming on this. Yeah,
you talked
Nicholson
about it
and Brando.
A year or two ago, you talked about it, and so I watched it. I thought it was really good. That's really good.
Jack is. That movie? I don't remember. I'm not a Western guy, but I enjoyed that one. Nicholson is an anti-hero. And by definition, Marlon Brando is the quote unquote good guy because he's law enforcement. However, as you'll see, Brando's like killing people, burning down villages and shit, kills Randy Quaid, you know. So it's like Nicholson is the good guy, even though in theory he's the villain. So good anti-hero. And I like Brando. So another Brando movie coming on this week is where he allegedly wrapped his fingers in butter and shoved up that woman's ass against her will in Last Tango in Paris.
Yeah, two things I want to say. Number one is when I was doing the research on Nicholson for that little clip, trying to find something of him talk about that one different video, he talks about how he was offered the role of Michael in The Godfather.
Oh, wow.
He seriously thought about it because he said, I want to work with Brando. And after reading the script a couple of times, he said, you know what, I got to say no, because there's no scenes between Bobby and Don Corleone. So I won't have an opportunity to work alongside my movie hero. And so he says, I know I'm only going to get a chance to work with him once, so I'm going to wait for another role. And then the Missouri Breaks happened. Pretty cool.
Do you think he would have been, no, look, I like James Caan, but if Nicholson is in The Godfather, I see him as Sonny.
Yeah, absolutely. Not as Michael. Absolutely. You know, it was interesting because is James Caan Italian? Because he never struck me as being Italian.
I think he's Jewish, isn't he?
I don't know. So when I saw him in The Godfather, I thought, oh, this is kind of weird casting. He doesn't strike me as Italian like Al Pacino. And in fact, Nicholson said, and I thought that the part of Bobby should be played by an Italian anyway. So there's my Jack Nicolson.
That's not bad. That's not bad, for real.
Oh, Demand is absolutely right. Underrated movie. I just recorded it on TCM.
Yeah.
Trying to get my wife to watch it with me. It's almost 4 hours long, but it is a great movie. Once Upon a Time in America. You like it, Dan?
I do. And again, I know he would hate me because of our politics, but I think James Woods, I'm a fan of James Woods' acting. I truly am.
Me
Even
too.
if he hates people on the left, I don't give a fuck. I love James Woods. And obviously the film, from what I understand, in the early 80s when it was released, it got severely edited and butchered and turned into like an hour and 40-minute film. I never saw it, the short version, and even De Niro hated the short version. So seeing it in its totality, which I never saw the early 80s version, but seeing it years later in like 2000, I thought it was a great film. Another controversy, if you don't, I think I've said this on the air before, but one of the cool things about it is because we all, at some point, were virgins. And De Niro's character stumbles and accidentally sees breasts. And it is Our Lady Jennifer Connelly, who's 13 in the film. But of course, they do a body double with her because she's only 13. But, right. You know, it's innocent. It's not like he was like trying to beat off to it or something. And he sees it. And of course, he develops a huge crush. But there's so many people at the time were accusing the filmmaker of child porn because it showed.
Heard that.
Yeah, if you look at its Wikipedia, because the stunt double was so good that people thought we really saw 13-year-old Jennifer Connelly naked.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you, you know, I fell in love with Jennifer Connelly in that movie too, despite the fact that I was like 18 and have forever followed her career because I thought she acted brilliantly in that movie, and she's so cute as a kid, and then grows up to be an astonishing, beautiful woman. By the way, you mentioned Maria Schneider in Brando's sex scene that he buttered up his fingers.
Yeah.
So I did a little research on that. This is Maria Schneider. I'll try to find a picture of her because she's really beautiful in many ways. But so I read in Wikipedia and a couple of other places that she felt she was raped during that scene in Last Tango because she showed up to the set and they told her this is what's going to happen. It was not in the script. And so she was, perturbed by the whole thing, but she was only 18 at the time and didn't know what her rights were at the time or what she could say back to them. And Brando came over to her and assured her it's going to be fine. We'll make it work and so forth. So they shoot the scene. And after the scene, she starts bawling and crying because she didn't expect what was going on. And while I read that there was no penetration, you're actually saying that there was penetration by his hand, huh?
Yeah. According to the female, and again, I didn't remember her name. This is my recollection that she said he again, caked his hand in butter the way you would lube and shoved his fingers up her ass with butter. And then later, Brando, from what I read, I mean, this isn't like last week, so, but I read that Brando said the reason he didn't want her to know what was happening is because it helped the film. Her honest reaction and panic is what the character needed at that time, not to be like, he needed her to feel
violated.
Yeah, because that's what the character felt. And again, in the era of Me Too and pro women and all that, it doesn't age well. It does not age well. But when you read it in the context of 1972 and what Brando was, or 73, was trying to accomplish, I can at least see what they were thinking at the time, which doesn't make it right in 2024.
Yeah, around that time, I worked on a student film, and we had a scene where we needed a little kid, 8 years old, to cry. And so the director, I was shooting the movie, the director says, you know, to the kid's older brother, can you make him cry? Can you make him cry? He went over and slapped him in the face.
Wow.
And the kid starts bawling, and I started rolling and stuff. And it was over. We gave him candy. He was fine and stuff. But now I would never do that. Somebody smacks a kid in the face for a shot in a movie, I would fucking kick his ass. I would be just as bad. I would kick the older guy's ass. But you know, times have changed. You're absolutely right. And not to excuse what the director of Last Tango did, Bernardo Bertolucci, but because that was bullshit, and it really impacted her. She went into depression, took drugs. You know, she did another movie immediately afterwards. I think it was The Passenger, and was trying to get through everything, but she said that it just really fucked her up for a long time. And then
she died early too, right?
She died in her mid 50s, I think, early 50s, I think it was. So, and she started a group, a support group for women who have been abused and stuff. So it's too bad. Now, I saw Last Tango, but I saw it in the theater. I think I fell asleep during the movie because I don't remember shit about it.
Oh, I can give you a quick summary of it from what I remember. So Last Tango in Paris, that Brando's character is middle-aged. His wife dies. So he's got money. He moves to France to try to get away from his wife dying and his depression. So somehow, some way, he and this beautiful girl get in the same flat. They both think that they're renting the room or the apartment. Again, over there in Europe, it's the flat. So they both are renting the same place. So he and the girl start fucking, but they're like, look, don't even tell me what your name is. All I want you for is your fucking pussy. And she's game too. And she's like, yeah, all we do is fuck. I don't know who you are, what your life is about, and I don't want to know. So they're fucking. And of course, Brando falls in love with her. And he's like, hey, whatever. He's saying whatever his character's name is. I want to date you. I want to marry you. And she's disgusted by it and breaks it off with him. She's like, you're weak. You're the opposite of who you portrayed yourself to be. I don't want to be with you now. And in the end, she kills him and calls 911 and says he's a middle-aged pervert who tried to rape her. And that's how she gets away with murder. He broke into her flat.
Wow.
So she murders him out of fucking complete and utter just disgust because he was like, I don't want to know your name. I just want you to suck my dick and all this stuff. And she wanted that. But by the time he falls in love with her, it's the opposite of what she wanted, what she expected, and she hates him for it.
So I got laughing because I saw this out of the corner of my eye. I heard Brando pull the old hole in the bottom of the popcorn tray at the premiere. So would you recommend me rewatching the
Yeah. Especially where the girl that's violated in real life actually gets away with murder. Her character does and kills him, and they believe him. She's like, oh, he's a middle-aged pervert who broke into my apartment and tried to rape me. So she kills him, and I know I'm giving it away now, but it's definitely worth a revisit. And if I could bounce around,
sure,
and recommend Jennifer Connelly. If you want to see Jennifer Connelly, like early 20s, really young and hot and naked, it's with Don Johnson and Virginia Madsen, called The Hot Spot from 1990, one of those neo-noir romantic thrillers.
Okay.
Yeah, she's really naked in that and really fucking hot and young. I mean, is that her peak?
That the other movie that comes to mind when you say that neo noir with naked girls is the one with Woody Harrelson, not Woody Harrelson, Jesus, Matt Dillon, Bill Murray, Teresa Richards, and it's directed by Dennis Hopper. And the girl who's in Scream is in it too. Do you know?
Oh, are you talking about Wild Things?
Wild Things, yes.
Yeah, she's
Wow.
got the lesbian scenes, right? You're talking about
Yes. That's a sexy fucking movie, man.
Kevin Bacon is in that, right?
Kevin Bacon, yes. Kevin Bacon. For some reason, I thought Woody Harrelson, but Kevin Bacon. And I'm not going to give, because there's so many fucking twists in the last 30, 40 minutes of that movie. It's hard to keep track how the movie really ended, but it's good. And if you like to see movies with beautiful breasts, that's the movie. Wow, the sex scene in the pool and them in the bed and Matt Dillon having a threesome with them. It's really, really well done.
You know, I like the movie. I mean, I didn't love it, but I know he was very popular for a long time. I'm not a Matt Dillon fan.
No?
I actually like Kevin Dillon, his brother, better than he. Matt Dillon was in a lot of films. Actually, there's one that I recorded on TCM last week where he's in it in '83 that I didn't watch yet. I forget the name of it, but I'm just not a big fan of his for some reason.
I like him. He's not a great actor by any means, but did you see Something About Mary? It's one of the best.
I saw that in the theater. Of course, that's great.
That's one of the best.
But it's more of a Ben Stiller thing than he's just sort of a supporting character in it.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I like him fine, and I don't know. I mean, it's for some reason as a leading guy, he bothers me.
Jay Grizz loved the Get Smart movie. Are you a fan? I never saw it.
I didn't see it.
The TV show was phenomenal. Done by Mel Brooks in his prime. Don Adams played the secret agent, and Barbara Feldon played Agent 99. And wow, she hot back then. Oh well. All right. So we got 20 minutes or so before Tooch joins us. He's in the chat room now. He's talking about Kevin Bacon's dong in the movie Wild Things.
Wow.
Do you remember that?
I don't. I haven't watched it in about 10 or 12 years or so.
There's a shower scene. I think it's Kevin Bacon. And so he opens up the shower door and his dong is hanging out.
That reminds me, did you ever see Antichrist from 2009 with Willem Dafoe?
No.
It's got a couple of shocking scenes that I'll tell you about in a second, but here's the rumor, the word around the campfire was because they show penetration in a shower at the beginning of it. And allegedly, the director said Willem Dafoe's dick was so large that they had to get a stunt guy to come in to make it seem believable. Because they wouldn't, the crowd wouldn't, or the people watching the film wouldn't believe that it was real because his dick was so big.
See, with me, it would have been the opposite. Your dick is too small when you have to bring in somebody to make it look believable.
Well, it's called Antichrist. And at the beginning, Willem Dafoe and the girl are fucking in the shower, and their kid falls out a window. The kid is 4 and opens a window and falls to its death. Mm-hmm. So while they're fucking, the mom goes in this great big depression, is blaming herself, and Dafoe is a therapist, so he figures who better to cure my wife than me. So he takes her to this secluded house and stuff. And eventually, I guess she's possessed at the end, but 2 wild things happen. Incredible that I've never seen in another film. The woman cuts her own clit off with a pair of scissors, which they show.
Oh.
And then she smashes Defoe in the balls with a brick and starts sucking his dick, and he comes blood.
Okay, what's the name of this movie? Because I'm going to watch it immediately when we're done here.
Antichrist. It's from 2009.
Jesus Christ.
And again, Defoe's supposed to have a large penis. They have to use a double.
Yeah, I'm not so much interested in that, but I am interested in that final scene when he takes the brick on his cock.
Smashes him in the fucking balls with a cinder block. And she starts blowing him, and he's trying to get her to stop, and he comes blood. Jesus. And like I said, she cuts off her own clit with scissors. It's oh my God.
This is what, the 90s?
2009.
Okay. So, because there was that period there, 80s, 90s, and early part of this century where they really push the envelope on Hollywood movies. It's like, we no longer have censors, we can show titties, we can say whatever we want and so forth. And it seemed like movies were just one after another was just trying to top itself with outrageousness, with sex and blood and gore. So this one might be the tops, the way you describe it.
I just sent you the Wikipedia, but according to Wikipedia, it says they're a married couple who experienced the accidental death of their infant son, after which they retreat to a cabin in the woods to grieve, where the man experiences strange visions and the woman manifests increasingly violent sexual behavior and sadomasochism. The narrative is divided into a prologue, 4 chapters, and an epilogue.
Wow.
I just sent it to you, though, if you want to see.
I see it. Yeah, thank you. Zach says that movie's fucked up. He never knew that the foe had a mega hog, though. That seems. And Tooch says that it's directed by Lars von Trier, who is a director.
He's the drummer for Metallica, I think. That's a joke.
He's known for really doing outrageous films, films like you really sometimes can't understand, or just outrageous blood and guts and gore. So yeah, that's definitely one to watch. That guy is a filmmaker worthy of watching, even if he's
I've seen 2 movies at the theater recently too with Nikki. We watched that. I think we mentioned it last week. The Girl from Euphoria, the movie on Easter. Yeah, we did mention it. And then we watched The First Omen, a prequel to the Gregory Peck Omen.
Right.
It's how they end up with the Omen, the Damien kid. It was too CGI in the effects. Even if they strike a match, it seems like it's CGI, not even a real flame. But other than it just looks so goddamn fake, everything that they're doing, the story isn't awful. Unless you're religious, you're like, God damn, why are they shitting on the church and all this? But I'm not particularly religious, so I'm okay with it. But I could see Catholics being offended by the story.
Fucking A.
Right. And my dad's side of the family was Catholic, so.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
R Star 10G says, tell us a story, Aldo, about the time a woman stuck a finger in your ass. Yeah, I wanted to have anal sex with her. I was always asking, can we do it, please, please? And so one day we're doing missionary position. I'm on top, and all of a sudden her finger goes straight up my ass, and I ejaculated in no time at all. By the way, ejaculate. You know what I'm doing there, Dan?
Curb your enthusiasm.
Yes. We got 10 minutes before Tooch comes in or so. You want to talk about Curb Your Enthusiasm, the final episode, because you texted to me that you loved it. I went,
Loved it.
I think part of the reason that I don't like it as much is because they were basically redoing the Seinfeld ending.
It was an homage.
It was a homage. Okay. So why pay homage to something that didn't work the first time? It was
that's the point, is Larry David always thought that it did. And it was brought up in season 7 when they had all 4 of the Seinfeld characters in Curb. And in the whole arc of that season was to redo the Seinfeld finale. They wanted to do a reunion because the rest of the characters are saying it sucked. And Larry's defensive about it and saying, it was a great finale. What are you talking about? It was great. So Larry honestly loves the finale of Seinfeld. And I think that was his way of proving that it was workable. And I like that he and Jerry said, this is what we should have done in the finale. We should have gotten out on a technicality with a sequestered juror.
So I don't remember the finale of Seinfeld other than there was the trial. So at the end of Seinfeld, they didn't get out. They all stayed in jail.
Yeah, they were all in jail. And they brought back all these old characters from the history of the show to show that they were bad people. Just the way they did in Curb, with even the little girl from the doll episode, that was actually the same woman. Yeah, it was great. And they brought up when he was forced to go to that incest survivor group, when he's like, I'm Todd and I'm an incest survivor. They're like, how could this man? And I loved it when they brought that up. There's like, he pretended to be an incest survivor named Todd, and they show Jerry, and Jerry looks at him like, what the fuck? I thought it was great. And then he and Leon were talking about the part of the show I loved the most was because Leon was saying that black people don't watch Seinfeld. So he started watching Seinfeld for the first time, and he's like, man, He's like, Larry, you never told me the story, how much pussy Jerry got every week. So he's sitting there with Jerry and he's like, I know there's got to be tapes. And Jerry's like, what are you talking about? He's like, all the pussy you got week to week. And Jerry's like, you're right. There's 13 hours of it, but it's all on Laserdisc. He's like, oh, there's no way to convert it to another format. And he's fucking with Leon. Leon believes every second of it.
Yeah, he's like,
I
I'm
knew
thinking about selling it to Netflix.
Yeah, but he's like, oh, there's no way to convert the format. He's like, I knew there was hours you fucking those women. And then Leon had a thing with Larry early on talking about how you wish you could have a spare dick.
Yes,
like,
that was awesome.
He's like, yeah, you fuck for like 30 minutes. You're like, hold up, let me take this other dick out of my. Do you want more? I'll put on my other penis.
Awesome.
I laughed so hard.
Yeah.
And then seeing where HBO released the footage of Richard Lewis, of course he's dead now, talking about how Larry treated him like a god, and then Cheryl Hines cries, saying, you changed my life forever. And the scene ended where Susie was telling him to go fuck himself again, which is such a part of the show. I thought it was as well done as it could have been.
Yeah, it's funny because after you share your reviews of those shows, I appreciate them a little bit more. I just get stuck on the fact that it's the same shtick every week. I'm old school storytelling. Characters have to progress and change over time. If it's the same character all the time, you get bored. And Larry never changed. He was true to himself.
But he changed. He changed. Well, he doesn't change, but like he was married, and then he was with Vivica A. Fox, and then suddenly he's got Leon. So I mean, the show changed a little bit. They put Ted Danson with his ex-wife. He was with his real life wife, Mary Steenburgen, early in the show, and then inexplicably within the show, they're just divorced, and he starts fucking Cheryl, which I think you cannot fuck your buddy's girl. Let me just say that you can't do that. Like, I'm opposed to that, but that's just me. But yeah, I thought the show did change, even if Larry didn't. The surroundings of him.
Changed. That's absolutely true. But characters have to change. Your protagonist doesn't have to. You can do whatever the fuck you want. But traditionally in storytelling, the protagonist goes through a series of changes and becomes either a better man or more terrible man or whatever. Those rules, of course, are broken all the time. But I just started to feel like it's the same concept every show. He writes an outline. All right, this is how it's going to end, and this is how we're going to get here. I'm going to have problems with someone in traffic, and then there's another beat here where I'm complaining about this, and then another beat here where I'm debating one of the characters about that, and then they just fill in the jokes with ad-libbing, and so I can kind of.
I like that though. Everything you just said that's what I like.
It is cool, but it's like, how many seasons of this can you take? I don't know. For me, I was never a big fan of Seinfeld either.
Well, I'm not the biggest fan of Seinfeld either. I mean, it was fine. It's not like I want to go and revisit them. But Curb, I do. And again, Curb was on 24 years. They had 12 seasons in 24 years. So 12 of those years, they didn't do a show. So it wasn't like necessarily forced down your throat. It wasn't preeminently on. Again,
and I read something, I wanted your opinion on this, that when they went on that hiatus for a while, when they came back, that's when JB Smoove joined the show. And a lot of people on Twitter were saying he saved the show. His presence, everything he says is funny, because a lot of people thought that by that time, before they went off the air, the show was getting a little stale. These were some of the comments I read on X. What do you think about that?
Well, he came on board in season 6 when Larry started dating Vivica A. Fox.
Okay.
But again, he was like an additional, like also starring JB Smoove. But by the time they got to season 7 or 8, he was definitely one of the main players in the show. And I think it was just unexpected at the time. Like, his character was sort of just a throw-in for a couple of good, like lines about where you're talking about earlier, them arguing, did Leon jack off on the covers? He wasn't expected to be, but the crowd, he got so over with the fans that, he wrote him in as a permanent fixture on the show. And he added such another dimension to it. It was great. And I loved in the finale, Leon was talking about like how Kramer would bust into the room and all this, and how he lived there and didn't pay rent. All these things that describe Leon. He's like, how could anybody think that's funny? And it's exactly what his character does, which made it even funnier.
Larry David is found guilty, and he says to Larry, "Don't you worry, I'm going to take care of our house."
Exactly, and it's his house. It's Leon. Leon just lives there. He doesn't even pay rent or anything.
I thought that was a great line.
Yeah, it was great when Vivica Fox and the rest of the family, like Auntie Ray and all them left. Leon was like, "So what you doing, Larry?" And he was like, "Aren't you going to go too?" He's like, "Well, no. Why the fuck would I leave?" It's great.
The one thing I will say about the show is that guaranteed I was going to have at least 2 or 3 big ass belly laughs, like some of the biggest laughs I'll have all week. That show was going to deliver. The plot lines but man, it's just once in a while they hit on a joke that I just would not stop laughing.
Right.
And this finale was good. I will give it a thumbs up, but I won't rank it up there with the best TV finales of all time. 6 Feet Under.
6 Feet Under, yeah,
has that by far.
6 Feet Under is the best in just terms of making me fucking cry.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Curb was, I like Curb. I would put it in my top 5 for sure, I would think. Again, I didn't hate Seinfeld, but I didn't love it either. But I was glad to see Jerry in the finale, Jerry himself in the finale.
Yeah, that was a coup, definitely.
Yeah.
And somebody was saying that, again, this is something I saw on Twitter, that the JV Smooth character was Kramer.
Right, that's what the comparison was in the finale with one of the jokes, is that he's Kramer. And speaking of, I don't know if you saw this, Jerry apparently is in the early stages of creating a show for what's his name, Michael, the guy that played Kramer that got in so much trouble for saying the N-word during stand-up.
Michael Richards.
He says he's going to do a show because he loves Michael Richards and everyone deserves a second chance. And apparently Jerry said, if you don't like it, if you don't want to watch it, if you hate Michael, then don't fucking watch it. Mm-hmm. So he's creating a show in the early stages where Michael Richards is going to be the main character.
Well, it'll definitely be interested. The one issue that I had with Michael Richards, I mean, that was a dirty, dirty, dirty way to use the N-word on that comedy bit. There was video of it that surfaced and stuff, but it didn't seem like he had any remorse for that. I can see somebody when they're out there performing and they're trying their hardest to be funny to go, comedians have always crossed the line.
He was being heckled by the audience and lost his cool. And again, but the worst part about that is if you lose your cool and suddenly you're saying the N-word, that means you were kind of hiding it anyway.
Exactly.
That was the worst part about it. Like, was he a closeted racist to begin with?
Right.
Because were you just hiding your fucking hatred, Right.
And it's not like he had a lot of black friends come to his defense. Yeah, Michael is not like that. It's like the guy probably doesn't have any black friends. Just like he didn't on the show. There were no black people on Seinfeld. That was another kind of running joke after a while. And so they brought in some character who was a lawyer. Wasn't that like the final episode? That one guy that played a lawyer?
I don't recall.
Yeah, I don't recall either.
I haven't rewatched them, but I will say, interestingly, that Nikki and I watched the finale together of Seinfeld and then the Curb finale. Because again, we were together back then, and then we're together now. So
that's wild. That's pretty cool. Did you ever watch the TV show 24 with Kiefer Sutherland?
I like Kiefer, but no, I didn't watch that because like when that show started right around 9/11.
Yes.
And every promo, I'd be watching the Bears on Fox, and every promo would be like Kiefer Sutherland screaming in every scene, like tonight on 24. And he's like, who are you working for? Or whatever. Just him screaming. It's like, that's why I hated George C. Scott. The fucker yelled in every scene he's ever been in. I was like, God, Kiefer Sutherland screaming every promo. I'm not watching it.
Yeah, my wife and I did a binge on 24, and that was the running joke that I would tell her. You ever notice how Jack Bauer, played by Kiefer Sutherland, would say his lines twice? Put that gun down! Put that gun down! The second line was always 20 decibels louder than the first one.
He's always
over
yelling.
and over again. So it would start off, "Don't reach for it. Don't reach for it." Over and over.
I hate the yelling, man.
But I'll tell you this. That was a guilty pleasure for me because it was clear what Fox was doing. They were trying to rile up nationalism against terrorists. And the way they were advocating through Jack Bauer's actions, the Kiefer Sutherland character, is fuck the law. Like he'd be asking somebody questions, like, "Where's the bomb?" And then the guy says, "I don't know what you're talking about." He shoots him in the leg. And then, "Where's the bomb? Where's the bomb?" Shoots him in the leg again. "Last time, the next one's in your heart. The next one's in your heart." And the guy would tell him. So, part of me would say, no, that's wrong. You should not interrogate people in a torture way. I mean, that was a big debate at the time. But it was a part great. I felt a cathartic feeling when he shot that guy in the leg. It was,
and again, I'm not being political, but it was a part of the zeitgeist at the time. Like you said, how much of that do you recall about W. Bush's administration circumventing torture laws? Yes, and again, I'm not saying that maybe you agree with it. Fine. I'm not even speaking ill of it, but that was what was happening during his 8-year run at the time the show was on. So sort of congruent to that.
Yep. That's why I could never be a cop, man, because I would be shooting people left and right. "Hey, I'm pulling you over for a ticket. I wasn't speeding." Bah!
Oh, God.
I would be awful, man. I would be
the guys
awful.
that had George Floyd would agree with you.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I could not do that for a living. It's one of the reasons I've always stayed away from guns and knives. Knives because I know I will cut myself, and guns because I know I will shoot somebody. So stay away from it. Heidi even finds that funny. And she says, "Aldo is dangerous, but I am very, very dangerous alone at night with beautiful women."
She said, "Aldo's very dangerous, but I'm very attracted to Aldo."
By the way, Heidi posted some things about her personal life on X, and I just want to say to Heidi, I'm hoping and praying for the best for you. A lot of changes, and I sent you a meme that says "follow your bliss," which is something I've taught my daughter to do. Do the things that make you happy. Focus on that. Continue to move forward. Don't look back. Follow your bliss. And that's the best recommendation I've ever heard about how to live life. And don't focus on the bad things from the past. So good luck to you, Heidi. Love you. I would be a pervert cop. You're absolutely right. No, man. Hey, I'm pulling you over for speeding. Flash me your tits and I'll let you go.
Wow.
Wow, you'd be the same way.
By the way,
no, and I'm just kidding. The funniest thing about last week is Nikki saying, "Dan and I are perfect for each other. We're a bunch of fucking whores." I mean, that's what a line. We're both a bunch of fucking whores.
Thankfully, my thrush is cleared up. I wasn't kidding about that. Apparently, I'd been eating her pussy and ass so much that it gave me thrush. And it took 2 visits to the doctor. Like, it didn't clear up the first time. I had to go get more medication. It took like 3 weeks I had a zombie tongue is what we joked about. I look like one of the zombies on any movie or show that you like with zombies. Like, my tongue was clearly rotted and decayed.
You ever been to a massage parlor and they whack you off?
No. I did have to go through medical massages for about 6 months back in 2015, though. But there was no
happy ending.
Pardon me. I wasn't Deshaun Watson. I wasn't asking them to.
That was also funny about Larry David episode where he's asking a woman, "What about the rest of me?" And she confuses what he's saying. "You want happy ending? No happy ending for you."
He was like, "Are you crazy? I'm not talking about that."
No man says Dan is going to catch a dumpling one of these days. What's a dumpling?
I think he's talking about something from her ass.
Hey, it happens to every man. Every man who has ventured down there more than once or twice, you're gonna eventually find the dumpling. I see Tooch going like this, nodding up and down.
I remember, this is true. This will be a 30-second story. I can't vouch if it were true because I was a kid. My brother-in-law had this guy that worked with him back in like 94. I remember he told me the story. Well, this guy told my brother-in-law, and my brother-in-law told me. He said that he was eating his wife's ass, and that an entire green bean came out of her ass, and then he ate it.
Oh.
I don't know if that's true, but this dude claimed that.
No.
It is funny how sometimes food that you ingest, that you've chewed up, comes out all of your shit.
I feel like throwing up right now.
Oh yeah, this guy claimed to have eaten a green bean out of his wife's ass and was proud about it.
By the way, I sent you that article about a couple. I forgot what town they're out east somewhere. This couple here. Texas. So Texas nurse.
Yeah, I reshared that.
Arrested for having sex with her Great Dane. So apparently, her husband took the pictures of a dog fucking his wife, but there were also, and this is not funny at all, there were also lots of very disturbing was the report, very disturbing pictures of child pornography on this guy's phone. And so typically I would not share something like this to shame somebody, but these two fucking people are deviants and need to be put away and never allowed in public, especially next to dogs and children. I mean, this is some sick shit, man.
I will keep all this vague. An ex-girlfriend of mine got hooked on drugs, like terribly hooked on drugs. And I was in and out of jail for a long time. And she's okay now. She's married and seems to have made a full recovery. I still won't say her name or anything. She told me a story. She could have just been junk talk. She could have just been high for all I know. But she told me there was a couple, I'll just say that in our capital city here, Charleston, West Virginia, she said that there were some people that she knew that she got high with. In order for them to like subsidize their drug bills or whatever, they did bestiality porn. And that the husband would like put the dog's dick in the woman and, film it. And then they would sell it to these fucking sites or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, tell me you weren't fucking dogs. And she's like, no. She's like, that's how they got their drugs. She's like, this girl would blow strangers. She's like, but I didn't blow any dogs, so, but she claimed that this couple did bestiality porn to get their drug money.
Well, let me tell you something. If we're going to talk about bestiality porn, we got to bring in the Tooch.
What an entrance.
Johnny Santucci, you sent me a text saying that your Bear State of Affairs was going to be on the quarterback curse that the Bears have under. And I was like, hallelujah. It's a meaty topic for us to get into.
Thought we'd take a trip down memory lane with some Bears quarterback talk.
Good stuff. And that's right up Dan's alley, of course. And, we've been talking for the last hour about bestiality and Larry David.
Last show was great. It's like Nikki, I'm so happy because like Nikki's like perfect for Dan, and like
I know. I heard that over and over and over again.
I'm so proud. I mean, one of my buddies married a stripper. How cool is that? That's like the dream,
That is
living the dream.
True.
Yeah, living the dream. He's following his bliss. Following his bliss. I saw this. I thought of Dan too.
There you go. Works every time. All right. For those of you who have never seen this part of the show, it is the best part of the show. Johnny Santucci presents his Bears State of Affairs, and it always starts with this.
All right, good. I'm not muted.
Nice job.
Double check there. All right, Bears State of Affairs 2024 NFL season, off season, week 12. What's happening, Barflies? Well, we are about 2.5 weeks out from the NFL draft. And I will tell you again, the closer we get, the more excited I am to begin the Caleb Williams era. So today we're going to take a little walk down Bears memory lane and reminisce together about Bears and their quarterback history. And recently, Chicago Bears general manager Ryan Poles pondered an all-important Bears question. Why haven't the Bears been able to draft and develop a franchise quarterback in the past 85 years? Quote, "It's a good question," Poles said at the annual league meeting in March. You think?
Yeah.
His ability or inability to find an answer to this all-important question will surely define his legacy for good or bad. This is his sink or swim moment. Yeah, and you know who's the guy who's probably the most interested in that answer? 100%, it's Caleb Williams. Yeah, the Bears are expected to draft Williams with the number 1 overall pick on April 25th. And with the Bears' reputation of being the place where quarterbacks go to die, you have to figure he's at least more than a little curious. After all, the quarterback the Bears drafted in the first round and developed, the last quarterback the Bears drafted in the first round and developed into an all-pro was Sid Luckman, who was taken with the 2nd overall pick in 1939 when there were only 10 teams in the NFL. Since then, the Bears have selected 6 quarterbacks in the first round. Those quarterbacks have combined to make 0 all-pro teams and only 2 Pro Bowls in their time in Chicago. Of those 6 quarterbacks taken in the first round since Sid Luckman, the best was Jimmy McMahon. Yeah, taken with the 5th overall pick in 1982, Jimmy Mack played 7 seasons for the Bears and compiled a record of 46-15 before being traded to the Chargers for a 2nd-round pick. He also was the last quarterback to bring a Super Bowl trophy to Chicago, a 46-10 victory over the Patriots in Super Bowl 20. That was 42 years ago, and it really hasn't gotten any better since. Jim Harbaugh followed McMahon, drafted 26th overall by the Bears in 1987. He also played 7 seasons in Chicago. Harbaugh compiled a record of 35-30 before leaving in free agency. And then everyone's favorite handicap placard abuser, Cade McNown, was next. And he was selected with the 12th overall pick in the 1999 draft. Led the Bears to a dismal 3-12 record. After only two seasons, McNown was traded to Miami for a pair of 6th-round picks. After that, it was sexy Rexy time. Rex Grossman was selected 22nd overall in the 2003 draft. He compiled a 19-12 record in 6 mostly injury-plagued seasons before leaving in free agency. He did help lead the Bears to their most recent Super Bowl appearance, a loss to the Indianapolis Colts in Super Bowl 41. Then the Bears didn't select a quarterback in the first round of the draft for 14 years after Grossman, when Ryan Pace made Mitchell Trubisky the 2nd overall pick in the 2017 draft. Trubisky played 4 seasons for the Bears before and compiled a 29-21 record. He became a free agent when the Bears declined his 5th-year option. And Pace would get a 2nd chance to draft a quarterback in the first round 4 years after he drafted Trubisky, when he selected Justin Fields 11th overall in the 2021 draft. Fields.
Game over, man. It's game. Well, nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect. Fields presided over Ryan Poles' rebuild of the Bears roster, and despite setting 8 NFL records, I know barflies hate it when I say that, his record with the Bears was a dismal 10-28. He was then dealt to the Steelers for a conditional late-round pick in March. Part of the problem, Poles said, was rooted in the poor evaluation of prospects, which for some reason doesn't really provide me with a lot of confidence, given Poles' sometimes spotty evaluation of talent, Chase Claypool being front of mind. So here we are, weeks out for the 2024 draft, and the Bears hold the number 1 overall pick. And by a happy chance, the top-rated prospect in this year's draft happens to be a quarterback who many believe to be the next generational talent at the position. And hanging over the whole affair of decision gate is the sword of Damocles in the form of the Bears' reputation as the place where quarterbacks go to die.
Nice.
There are a lot of Bears who are excited and feel Caleb Williams can't miss. A lot of Bears fans. But there are also a lot of Bears fans who are excited but who don't want to get too excited in case, like Bears history has shown, Caleb Williams, for whatever reason, just doesn't work out. I mean, when Bears fans think of great developers of quarterback talent, Matt Nagy and Matt Eberflus aren't names at the top of many lists. A lot of hopes are resting with new offensive coordinator Shane Waldron, given his past success with Seahawks quarterbacks Russell Wilson, Geno Smith, and Drew Lock. Not only that, but Caleb Williams will enter a locker room that was vocal in its support for Justin Fields. Given the strong support for Fields in the locker room, Bears fans are wondering how Williams will earn the respect and backing of a Bears locker room that believes it can contend next season. A locker room that loved the guy whom Williams is replacing. Recently, Williams was in town for a pre-draft visit with the Bears, and several key Bears veterans offered advice to Williams on how to win over the locker room. Hard work, authenticity, and humility. Whether Williams takes those words to heart will go a long way with his veteran teammates and with Bears fans. Ryan Poles has said numerous times that year 3 of the rebuild is crucial. That is, when he expects the team to take a major step forward. Having a generational talent at the quarterback position, along with 2 Pro Bowl wide receivers, should go a long way toward making that happen. It should also help Poles and Williams erase the narrative that the Chicago Bears are where quarterbacks go to die. Will Caleb Williams follow in the footsteps of the former first-round quarterback failures, or will he finally change the Bears' reputation? It sure would be nice to stop invoking the name of Sid Luckman as the last great Bears quarterback. That is Bears' state of affairs.
Oh, that was so good.
Can I point out something real quickly, especially since Aldo's on mute? 2 of the 3 Cade McNown wins were at Lambeau Field. How about that?
I didn't remember.
Now,
that.
the first one, he got injured and technically was the starter. That's the Brian Robinson block that he said Walter Payton picked him up. But one of his wins, in theory, he didn't get credit for because Shane Matthews got hurt, and he played the bulk of the game at Detroit in 2000, his last appearance as a Bear, when we knocked the Lions out of the playoffs, and Edinger kicked the 54-yarder to win it on Christmas Eve of 2000. But if you just go by who started the game, Cade won 3 games. He blew out Detroit at Soldier Field and then won 2 games against the Packers at Lambeau. Who knew that Cade McNown was a Packer killer?
Yeah, I had forgotten that, man, I'll tell you.
Yeah, that was Urlacher's first win as a Bear, was in week 5 of 2000 at Lambeau with Cade McNown as starter.
Yeah.
I was so excited about Cade McNown because, I grew up watching Bobby Douglas and loved the left-handed quarterback, loved the all-white uniforms, and I thought we were going to get some of that. But
we've just seen Steve Young with the 49ers.
Exactly. But as soon as I saw him with the Bears, I said to myself, there's something wrong about this guy. And the fact is, he can't hit a wide open receiver. His accuracy had to be the worst of all the Chicago Bears quarterbacks I've seen since 1968. I mean, the absolute worst. And I got a feeling it was more than just mechanics. I think he was afraid. I think he was out there and he was
I don't think that, because Cade ran the ball quite effectively, not as well as Justin Fields, but he was running around. I don't think he was afraid. I'm not trying to say you're wrong. It's just my opinion. He ran the ball a lot. I don't think. I think Trubisky was
the playbook.
Yeah, well, I think Trubisky would.
Knock on him behind the scenes was that he never opened the playbook. He didn't feel like he had to study.
I think Mitch was afraid after he got popped by Harrison Smith. I do. Like, he didn't want to run anymore or anything.
Yeah, I agree with that. Jay Cutler, though, out of Jay and Justin Fields are the most courageous Bears quarterbacks I've ever seen in my life.
Harbaugh, too. McMahon as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I will give you that. Those 4 deserve to be on the Mount Rushmore of most courageous Chicago Bears quarterbacks. And we've had quite a few. Vince Evans was a courageous quarterback, and that guy could have been a really top-flight NFL quarterback, but they just didn't use him wrong, and then they ended up trading him to Oakland Raiders, and he got injured over there, and his career never ended up being what it could have been.
I think he went to the USFL at one point too.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. Yep.
He should have gotten a ring, but he went to the USFL, so he wasn't on the 85 Bears.
Right. All-time worst quarterback, Tooch. Who was your all-time worst?
Man, what was that? Jonathan Quinn. Got to be up there. Definitely up there.
You know my answer.
Mike Glennon definitely is up there.
Aldo, you know me well enough. Who's my answer?
Steve Stenstrom.
Steve Stenstrom, the worst Bear I've ever seen in my entire life.
He's up there too. Yep. Caden McNown, I don't know. He's kind of up there though too. He was so disappointing.
I mean, this is.
I would rather see Will Fuhrer than Steve Stenstrom, although Jonathan Quinn is definitely 1B versus 1A there with Tuch's pick.
Todd Collins was bad too.
At least Todd Collins had some moments in the league, though. You know, like Steve Stenstrom was just a bum.
Yeah, Rick Meyer too. It's like
Rick Meyer was so bad at the Bears, but
terrible.
At least he was Rookie of the Year in 1993 with Seattle. He had a moment. Steve Stenstrom's moment was he was awful. His entire moment was awful.
You know, this is all because you have an organization that won George Halas style, and then after Halas passed, they thought, let's continue with the running back defense model of winning football. It worked for Dad, worked for Grandpa. Let's continue that way. They had no respect at all for the quarterback position, and then when Jerry Angelo told management, listen, the only way we're going to get back to the Super Bowl and be great again is we've got to get a really top flight quarterback. And Angelo, of course, was right, but he also forgot that quarterback needs an offensive line. He needs wide receivers. He needs offense. That's the way you develop quarterbacks. It's giving them.
He acquired Rick Meyer too, right? Did he? Or no,
that wasn't that Hatley, Dan Aguirre?
Was that Hatley? Might have been.
Yeah. Rick Meyer was in 1997 after Eric Kramer broke his neck in the 96 season at Detroit.
All those Bears GMs from Angelo to Pace, you know, they always said, oh, we should draft a quarterback every year. Then they never did. You know, it's like they just drafted like these either late round quarterbacks and then, you know, Rex Grossman, and then they acquire Jay Cutler. But for an organization, since Sid Luckman has only drafted, that was almost 100 years ago, only drafted six quarterbacks in the first round. You think they didn't place a high priority on quarterback, you know? Yeah, mind-boggling.
Dan, one of those bad quarterbacks, you had a special affinity for. Was it Shane Matthews?
No, not well. Matthews had two really great moments with the Bears, though. Jim Miller got hurt against San Francisco, and they brought Stenstrom in, and we were down like 31-15, and that ended up being a 37-31 win thanks to Mike Brown's interception of Jeff Garcia, which at the time was the fastest overtime in the history of the National Football League. It may still be. The ball hit T.O.'s hands, went up in the air. Mike Brown took it back, and then the very next week, we're down 21-7 to the Browns with 36 seconds to go, and we win the game. And again, Tim Couch's pass was batted up in the air, I believe, by Brian Robinson, and then it was picked off by Mike Brown again for another touchdown. But Shane Matthews was the quarterback in both of those games, who ended up going to prison, by the way, but he got out.
Right. That Cleveland game made me so happy because I remember watching that game. I was all alone in my apartment, and the Browns, you know, from early part of the game, they were just sticking it to the Bears, laughing at us on their sideline, celebrating outrageously and so forth. And as we start mounting this comeback, I mean, I wish I would have been able to videotape myself yelling at the TV screen, yelling at the Browns and calling them all sorts of names and stuff, and saying, you fuck with us, we'll fuck with you, kind of shit, just acting like an idiot, a complete idiot. But that's why I love my team. I'm going to stand up for them and support them. And it's part of the reason until a year ago, I started to feel like we can come back from anything. And
not to contradict the current message on the screen there, but in that Cleveland game, Shane Matthews threw for like 340, something like that, and had that miracle Hail Mary at the end of James Allen. Oh God, I loved it. I fucking loved those two games, watching those back-to-back live. I mean, it represented everything. Of course, it's the outlier though, but it represents everything I've ever felt as a Bears fan. If we were down 40, I'm still watching and still writing a script in my head how we could come back. But for those 2 Sundays, my scripts came to reality. Usually they don't. Oh, Taylor Swift, Kansas City, we're down 40-3. We're going to come back and win. No, we never do. But in those 2 weeks, we came back to win.
Yeah.
It's amazing stuff.
When you think about it, we drafted Rex Grossman in 2003 in the first round. And then we didn't draft another one until Trubisky. It's like 14 years, of fucking around.
Well, we had Jay for so long, though.
We had Jay. We had Jay for a long time. And then we tried with this, like the third time's a charm with Caleb Williams. So we tried with Trubisky being a really high draft pick, and we tried with Fields with the Ohio State Clemson game, and him being top 11. He was drafted 11th, and then we had a lot of hype with Trubisky, and then a lot of hype with Justin Fields, and now there's a lot of buildup before this draft. The hype with Caleb Williams. I mean, I'm excited. I like Caleb Williams a lot, man. The more you watch, the more you're like, damn, this guy's like runs around like Mahomes and could sling it, It got a great escapability. So yeah, I'm super excited. It's just what are they? They only have 4 picks in this draft, and that if
that doesn't bother me.
I trusted Poles that he could turn those remaining 3 picks into probably 9. So
see, but that's the thing too, is this year the draft is not that deep because you got a lot of players because of the COVID season elected to go back to play another season. So I think in round 6 and round 7, there's going to be a couple of little gems in there. In the running back position, there's always late round gems, but like defensive line, defensive backs, I don't think you're going to find anything of merit. I love the fact that they've got 4 of the top 122 picks. I say get 4 excellent football players with those 4 picks. And then next year, when the draft in terms of value should return back to normal, you've got like 9-10 picks next year. They got 2 second rounders and then 2 on day 3 from 1 round. So I don't know. The other thing that would be cool is when Saturday rolls around and 122 goes, I can fucking relax. I don't have to do a show. Hey, that's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching.
Can I reminisce a bit? Go ahead, Tooch. Go ahead.
I mean, usually draft week is like the busiest time of the year for Barroom. But it's like we only got 4 picks, so it might be a lighter load that week with content creation.
I agree, man. Let's keep it that.
Can I reminisce a bit about Harbaugh for a second? But I want to have one more comment about Tooch's Bears State of Affairs.
Sure.
Again, what he said wasn't wrong, but I always advanced the statistic. He mentioned that Rex was 19-12. I always include the 3 playoff starts and say that he was 21-14 or 20. Or I had him 21-14 because he had the 2 playoff wins and then a Super Bowl loss.
Yep.
So I thought he was 21-14. But anyway, Harbaugh, I would say, Harbaugh is the first round pick in 87. We still don't know what we have yet. They got rid of Flutie and kept Tom Zach. And, of course, McMahon comes back later that year. McMahon loses the 87 playoff game against Washington in the NFC Championship game. 89, we don't make the playoffs. So Harbaugh is the starter in 90. And he gets hurt late in the year, and Tom Zach starts the 2 playoff games. 91, he's the starter. I think he started every game the whole season. He got sick before the Dallas playoff game. I can't remember if I think it was on Sunday. But Harbaugh had to go to the hospital the Friday before the game and was in the hospital until late Saturday. And he struggled mightily against Dallas because he was still fucking sick. The dude had like 104-degree temperature on Friday. So, and then the Bears are bad. So that's all you got of Harbaugh. But by the time he ends up in Indianapolis, you saw the kind of run he had in him. He led the Colts to the AFC Championship game and just a fucking like a fingertip away from the Super Bowl. If you remember that pass, I think his name was Aaron Jones, the guy that dropped the Hail Mary. So Harbaugh almost led the Colts to the Super Bowl. That could have been our guy if he'd have been surrounded by more talent.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's the thing is this organization has
That's
never
what Paul said too in the State of Affairs. He said he could. The problem has been with talent evaluation.
Mm-hmm. Very, very true. Now, I got to ask you guys this because today I did the Greg Gabriel show early in the morning. Good show. If you guys can check it out on demand. Eric Edholm was the guest and talked about the
Yeah,
draft and
great.
stuff. But before we started rolling, some guy in the chat room was saying all these homophobic things about Caleb. You know, how come you guys don't have the guts to talk about a guy that Butkus and Sayers?
I was just listening. I wasn't watching the.
Yeah, I was in the chat.
I was at work.
Yeah, and we never addressed it at all. But I got to ask you and people in the chat: is anybody here bothered about the fact that he's extravagant in the way he dresses? He might not be heterosexual. He might experiment with sex. I don't know, and I don't care. It's how I feel. Does it bother you guys at all?
When he throws for 4,000 yards and leads the Bears to the playoffs, nobody else will care. Neither, nobody else will care.
If he would lead the Bears to a Super Bowl, I would be gay with him if that's what it took. and I happen to just like women, so I don't care if the guy's bisexual or homosexual. I don't give a fuck. I don't care if he transitions.
To suck Aaron Rodgers' dick.
I don't care if Caleb Williams transitions to a female at some point. If he leads us to the Super Bowl, I'll have his jersey on.
Now that would be a hell of a story.
Yeah. We don't know what number he's going to wear because Keenan Allen will probably wear 13.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Well, we got a wide receiver wearing number 13 now. Let's not forget that.
Tyler Scott wears number 13.
He doesn't count.
If he'd have caught that pass at Ford Field, for us to beat the Lions, maybe he would count. But he doesn't count.
0.1% of a chance to keep that number.
Zach says that he believes Caleb is doing that shit as a stunt. He doesn't believe that's his character, but he does believe that he's trying to fall to Washington.
No, not anymore.
I don't think that's. Yeah, I don't think so.
Look at the roster the Bears have. He's going to be thrown to 2 1,200-yard Pro Bowl receivers.
Right. He grew up there in Washington, but he was not a Redskins or Commanders fan. He was a Aaron Rodgers fan, is what he says.
Yeah, that's terrible. I'll give you a comparison, though, Aldo. We've mentioned this before. As you know, Isaiah was from Chicago, and apparently he was saying all these terrible things to the Pistons, trying to make it. He's like, I don't want to go to Detroit. I want to go to Chicago, and wanted to fall. And the Pistons GM was like, looked at him and said, I know what you're trying to do, and we're still drafting you, just so you know. You're not going anywhere. We're taking you. And I think that's what Ryan Poles has to do. Regardless if that comment was right that he's trying to fall, you got to see through that shit and you draft the guy, period. Right.
It's like the Red Auerbach, Larry Bird thing in that great series that got canceled by HBO. Showtime, was it called?
HBO. What was that called? Winning Time.
Winning Time. Yeah. Great scene where Auerbach goes to Indiana to talk to Larry Bird because Larry didn't want to play for Boston, and he just gives him this fucking one of those great sports speeches, that have to be up there with Pacino's and Any Given Sunday and other great coach speeches. He just let Larry Bird know, we're going to draft you whether you fucking like it or not, and you're going to play well. So good stuff.
I mean, Caleb Williams. There's no reason for him to fall or go anywhere else because one, he wants to be the number 1 overall pick. It's the most money. It has the best. It has the best roster that he could go to. As far as in terms of weapons around him, DeAndre Swift
and a great city.
Yeah, a great city. The 85 Bears are still living high. On one Super Bowl almost 40 years ago. Yeah. So you can really make a name for yourself here. You end up getting statues around the stadiums here if you play well. You get statues. You can be an announcer and get a statue.
Right.
Right.
He can be compared, to Michael Jordan, who has built an empire. Is one of the richest guys in the United States. and it's built it because he started off as a basketball player, and now he runs, all these companies and so forth. And Caleb is interested in that. He's interested in developing his brand. All you got to do is win football games for us. That's all you got to do. This city will embrace you, and you can wear a skirt. You could put a dildo up your ass. I don't care. They're play well.
They're going to win. Come on, with this roster, they're going to win. But the thing I would say, we only have 4 picks, and we have like more than 4 holes to fill because it's the Bears. Every year there's more holes than we have picks. But we only have 2 tight ends on the roster. I could see Poles like trading back the 75 or 122 or both. He might take 1 and 9 and get 2 great players there. And then kind of because yes, the draft isn't that deep, but there's some gems, like you said. There are some good players back there in the 4th round. Then you get to like 5th, 6th, and 7th, you're really throwing the dart. But there's going to be some good players back there.
What Nomad said, though, there's a lot of credence to what he was saying. If you're Caleb Williams and you are surrounded by good talent, and you come in and for some reason you start to struggle, and people think you're the reason that the Bears are losing, especially if Fields is doing well in Pittsburgh, it's going to create a huge amount of pressure on him.
And 100%. But he is a rookie. He's going to do rookie things. He's going to make rookie mistakes. And people, people who are football smart understand that. Like average fan isn't always the football stupid. Like I always say. What the hell? It's like But look, he's set up. He's not set up to fail like the last guy. He's set up to win. He's set up good, man. But if you were to say what the Bears need, obviously we need wide receivers because if any one of those top 2 go down, you got nothing behind those 2 guys.
Nothing.
Exactly.
Opposite Montez Sweat, there's nothing. You could bring back Yannick, and probably get by for another season. But you could there's some decent edge rushers you could find even late. Greg Gabriel talks about Brennan Jackson. He loved Mo Kamara. Both those guys would be nice to have. You can get those guys maybe at 122 or 75.
I would think so, yeah.
It'd be nice to get a center in the pipeline. Greg Gabriel likes Braxton Jones a lot, but if Braxton goes down, you're talking about moving Darnell Wright to left. And what else you got? You got
leave him at right tackle. Stop fucking with our guys.
Yep. We could use a swing tackle, and then you're talking, we only have 2 tight ends on the roster, and Shane Waldron likes to run all those 2 tight end sets. That's the guy that made Will Dissly into a touchdown star, in Seattle. Will Dissly and Noah Fant, he run all those. There's even Colby Parkinson or whatever. All 3 of those guys could catch touchdowns in that offense.
Well, maybe they could bring Tunyon back cheap if necessary.
Yeah, there's a bunch of free agents that are even going to be cut by teams, guys that are on the bubble now. If they draft a tight end, they might let go of a veteran tight end who might be a good fit here in Chicago.
Or Mercedes Lewis could come back.
Exactly, because he's out there and he would like to come back and play another season. Guys, I got to ask you this question because Badass Warthog said that if the Bears win a Super Bowl, he would be willing to vote for a liberal. So I'll ask you guys the same thing. If the Bears win a Super Bowl this year, Tooch, will you both vote for a liberal? And Dan, would you vote for a conservative?
Tooch?
Was RFK Jr. count?
I don't know what the fuck he is. I don't know where he's coming from. That's who you're gonna vote for, right?
I'll take a Super Bowl over wasting a vote.
There you go. What do you say, Dan?
Man, as freely as I've joked about having gay sex, that seems better than a Trump vote to me.
What about growing a beard or voting for Trump? You can only choose one.
Ooh. Probably Trump. That's how much I hate beards.
This is the best show ever.
What about eating a bean?
We got dumpling talk. We got Dan talking Trump voting. It's like the best show ever.
That is weird.
You're eating green beans out of your poop.
That was the guy that worked with my brother-in-law, but he did tell that story with zeal.
Oh, okay. Cliff has started it. He's RFK is a mainstream Dem. How do you say that? He's gonna get some Biden votes. There's no doubt about it. But I don't see him as a mainstream Democrat. Not when you're
His VP is
anti-vax.
kind of hot though. She's kind of cute.
Yeah, she's a lawyer for Google executives.
Yeah, but he's kind of, you know how Trump said, I don't want to talk politics, but Trump pissed a lot of people on the right off because he didn't want to go for the nationwide abortion ban. Like RFK Jr. has hinted that he would advocate a nationwide abortion ban. So I don't know how you could consider him a Democrat.
Yeah.
Only because he calls himself one, but
his dad was a fucking champion, man. And it's just a shame that, you know, this guy doesn't seem to have any. He's married to Cheryl Hines, by the way, with Curb Your Enthusiasm, if we bring it full circle. But he doesn't really seem to have any true convictions on anything. And he's so hard to understand. He's got some kind of medical ailment. It's hard to hear him speak.
June 6, 1968, RFK was assassinated. My birthday.
Look at that. Wow.
Yep.
Bearsky Film says that he would suck Caleb Williams' dick for 5 minutes. He thinks his wife would understand. Good one, Bearsky.
He's got a great wife.
You know what would make it even worse? You know, to like Tooch to vote left or me to vote right or whatever. Here goes the thing. This would be what would make it worse for both of us, Tooch. If the Bears win the Super Bowl, would you be willing to blow Matt Nagy?
Oh, man. That's like the worst. I don't think I could do it.
Is there anybody worse in the history of the Bears than Matt Nagy on this would you blow somebody thing?
Yeah, really. Well, Trestman is right up there, right? Isn't he?
Trestman might put that finger up your butt like you're talking about, though, Aldo.
There'd be something good about a Trestman lay, though, I think. There'd be something surprising, you know.
I bet he's got like an S&M chamber in his fucking house.
I would tell these people, listen, you know, what about my wife? She'd do a much better job than me.
Oh, God.
Trestman. I could picture Trestman explaining his S&M dungeon, every little piece in detail. You know,
and if we insert 3/4 of my head right here, this will make you climax.
We need a draft, man. How much time left?
This is the best show ever.
15 days, 21 hours, 17 minutes and 3 seconds and counting.
Best show ever.
Oh, where's Tooch?
I don't know. There I am. Yeah, but I mean, if I was to ask you, Aldo, what the Bears' top needs are, you know, give me like 4 of them since we got 4 picks.
Okay, definitely need a wide receiver, right?
I mean, aside from quarterback, right?
Right.
Well, that's got to be one of your picks, though, the quarterback.
So, yeah. So
true.
Quarterback,
all right, so I'll give you 3.
Yep, 3.
Wide receiver, a pass rusher, and I agree with Eberflus when he says, I don't care if it's a defensive tackle or an outside pass rusher. Now, we definitely need somebody on the edge. But if you're telling me that we're going to draft a defensive tackle who's going to get us 10 sacks, guaranteed, or as close to guaranteed.
Doesn't matter who's playing opposite Sweat.
Exactly. Yep. So a pass rusher, a wide receiver, and I could either go for a big X wide receiver, a big 6'3" guy, or I could go for a 5'10" guy who runs a 4.3. That would be great. The 4th position, I would love to get a backup offensive lineman. Last week I talked about Troy Fontenot because of his versatility. He could play wherever. So a guy like that, but, you know, when I mentioned that to Greg this morning.
Guy, though.
Yeah, he is. Greg thinks he's going to go around 15 or so. Yeah. So maybe if the Bears trade it back from 9, you can pick him up at 15. And now you've got a guy who is either going to replace Nate Davis at right guard because he could play the right guard position, or if Braxton doesn't play well in preseason, then he moves over to left tackle. He's got that versatility, so he intrigues me a lot. So a tackle, a wide receiver, and a pass rusher, those are the 3 positions.
I would like to see, I mean, we still don't really have a 3 tech. You know, I mean, Gervon Dexter's been kind of playing that alongside cousin Andrew, you know, but it's a 3 tech like Tommy Harris would really make this, you know, what DeForest Buckner was the guy that Eberflus had in Indianapolis. You know, a guy like that's what he's looking for in Gervon Dexter. And Gervon Dexter's built similarly to DeForest Buckner. It's in hindsight, it's no surprise that they picked Dexter. You know,
Right.
and beginning of the year, I think in preseason, I think you and I on the show, all of us had talked about like Gervon Dexter's the last guy off the ball in the snap. Man, it's like he's almost the last guy, and then towards the end of the season, it clicked. You know, like the light went on. You know, and he's like one of the first guys off the snap and stuff. You know, but. A three technique, somebody that's going to be, because I mean, for the passing down and passing situations, like having that Tommy Harris, Aaron Donald type that really makes that defense go. There's guys you could get around 75, you know, that the Bears could consider. I mean, you got guys like Michael Hall Jr. on Ohio State, Chris Jenkins on Michigan, and Dwayne Carter on Duke. Man, Carter's like a team captain. That's like the type of personality that Poles likes to draft, are those team leaders, you know, leadership guys. You know, Dwayne Carter's be a good addition. He's got some good speed and pass rush moves up the middle. So, I mean, three technique is almost as good as high a priority as an edge rusher. It's just we don't know what the Bears are placing the priority on.
Yeah, I do agree 100% with you, but I'll tell you one thing: a good three tech is going to pressure the quarterback up the middle, and most quarterbacks are going to run to their right. And so that pass rusher on the left side has to be a speedy guy, like a Dallas Turner. You know, I mean, he ran like a 4.4 at the combine. And so you can't get that this year if you're going to get a three tech in the early rounds. So there's going to be a missing piece to this team unless Gervon Dexter develops into that three tech that you've described so perfectly, Tooch. Yeah. Unless Dexter turns into that guy, and the Bears feel that he will this season, then I think you got to go for a Dallas Turner, some guy who's going to run down that quarterback, because that's how. If you look at Dallas Turner's sacks at Alabama, that's how he got his sacks. He's chasing guys down, chasing quarterbacks in the backfield. So it's going to be interesting. Somebody, Tooch says, excuse me, Bearski wants to know, do you think that click is permanent? He did it for a couple of games in a row last year. Does Dexter come out hot early this year? What do you think?
I think so. I think I'm hoping, because I mean, we saw a lot towards the end of the year. He was just, you know, other teams didn't want to block the guy, man. They didn't want anything to do with him, you know, towards the end of the season last year. And I expect him to, like Jonathan Allen, I expect Dexter people to be talking about, you know, we have to block this guy, you know. I hope that he takes that leap and become that force up the middle like Eberflus had in Indianapolis.
Did you see the video of him or pictures of him? It looks like he has been in the weight room, man. He is sculpted now.
Yep. That's what I said. Like sometimes a year in an NFL weight program does, you know, like guys really turn the corner that next season after they've been in the you know, just training and treating their body right, and nutrition and all that stuff. You know, because they're not, I mean, they're getting some of that in college, but it's not as, you know, I mean, as high tech as science, and as much money is like thrown into it as they get in an NFL team.
Yep. So what do you think, Dan, to answer Tooch's questions in terms of position needs, what three would you most want the Bears to address with the draft?
Well, immediately what popped in my head when he was talking, and I kept thinking, listen to what he's saying. Don't think about a rebuttal. But you drafted the two guys inside last year.
Yeah, exactly.
They've played their rookie seasons. I mean, let these guys grow. So I think on defense, you go for the edge rusher. I don't know if that's the 9th pick, or maybe there's a second wave of free agency after the draft too. You could always look at that if you don't get the guy that you want. But ideally, the quarterback has to be the number one thing. So you have 3 other picks, as we know. Wide receiver seems to be in play at number 9, or an edge rusher at number 9. And I still think you need more help on the offensive line. So whether that's a center or another tackle or even another guard, because you never know what you have with Jenkins. I like Jenkins, but Jenkins is hurt a lot. And Nate Davis, you know, he had a troublesome year. His mom died. I understand how that goes. Maybe he'll be back in full force this year, but he didn't seem to be a good pass blocking guard anyway. So I think you need to draft, the short answer is a quarterback, an offensive lineman, a wide receiver, and maybe an edge rusher, but that may not be possible with the positions of your picks.
Badass Warthog says defensive end, defensive tackle, and wide receiver. It does seem like most of the work during this offseason has been in helping the offense and getting a good offense for Caleb Williams. And now Matt Eberflus, I'm sure, is probably saying, "Okay, you can help me out at all."
Yeah, they did. They signed a lot of offensive linemen this offseason. You know, and with Caleb Williams' escapability, they may not be placing as high a priority on it as other people might, because they figure they could get by, you know, with Caleb his escapability. He does have escapability. You know, like I said, he reminds me of Fran Tarkenton. You know, like the way he escapes and runs around. He's got some juke to him. He doesn't have the breakaway like Justin had, but man, he could buy a lot of time. He fights to stay in the pocket, and he'll wait for that broken play, that guy to break open. You can't cover a guy forever. You know?
But Justin had the ability, probably unlike anybody else in the league right now, to buy time, and he still didn't have enough time. Because of how poor the offensive line was. So I think you got to get as much help at those motherfuckers as possible until you get a cohesive unit. They haven't had a good offensive line since the 06 team, it seems.
Another wide receiver. We just don't have anything. There has to be a high priority because Keenan Allen has been injured a lot recently. Without him, you know, you're gonna have DJ Moore and Equanimous
Equanimous is a free agent, right?
Dante Pettis.
EQ is out there on the street. He doesn't have a team right now.
They'll probably re-sign him.
Dante Pettis, they signed.
If they don't get what they want in the draft at wide receiver, they'll have EQ. And, you know, I know Dan hates Dante Pettis, but
Pettis is only in for punt returns. He's not going to drop the ball like the little white boy we had last year. So I guess that's the idea, is just have somebody that can catch the goddamn ball back there and not put it on the ground.
I think that they're going to load up on receivers one way or another, other free agents and stuff. And I think Dante Pettis will not be on the roster week one, or if he is, he will not be active. He's just a body for emergency purposes.
Punt return. He's a punt return. Because we don't know our third round pick from, help me out, what's his name, and why is it eluding me? The third.
Bayless.
You never know if what he's going to do. Can he catch the ball? Can he hold on to the ball? Like, he's had 2 subpar years, but he seemed to be doing better on kick returns at the late stages of 2023.
There's new rules for kick returns now, you know? It's
right.
Really, we might have to find someone that fits into those new rules a little bit better than the guys we have. I don't know. There's some guys. There's some guys who are decent wide receiver. I know people like that Malik Washington from Virginia, the little guy that made a big splash down at the Senior Bowl, but he's an excellent kick returner. You know, it'd be great in the slot too. But if Keenan Allen goes down, you got nothing.
You know, if I was the Bears wide receiver coach, the new one, I would have told Velus Jones, here's what I want you to do during the off season. Instead of just working out catching balls and stuff, I want you to work with
turn in your playbook.
Yeah, that would be the second thing. But I would say I want you to work out with Svengali and have Svengali like hypnotize him into catching the balls and not being afraid to make a mistake and shit. Because I think it's all in here with that kid. Yeah. You know, he made a terrible mistake in the first opportunity he had, and it's just something that he can't escape because he didn't do that in college. He didn't drop these passes. He didn't drop these punt returns and kickoff returns. It's something that just happened.
Maybe wide receivers just Ryan Poles blind spots. You know?
It could be, right?
Chase Claypool, Velus Jones, Tyler Scott.
Could be.
Guys that he drafts or picks up that just aren't any good, man.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys think about what Nomad said about dipping into next year's draft capital? You got 2 second rounders and you got extra picks in day 3. Would you dip into that to acquire maybe a second rounder this year, you know, trade your number 75 from this year and next year's 25 to get back into the second round?
If the board falls the way they want it,
that's the way to put it.
Yep.
Yeah. Dan, you're not pissed off if the Bears start trading draft capital from next year, are you?
No, I mean, if they're making a run, it's saying we're not building for the future, that 2024 is the team we're trying to build right now, and what we want to win this year and think we can plausibly win the division, then how could you argue against it, you know?
Right. Well, and I agree with that. And plus, if you're acquiring a second rounder this year, this guy could be a starter for the next 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. So it's not just about winning this year; it's about having sustainable success. I like that idea, guys. The last half hour of the show, I wanted to talk about Jack Nicholson movies, and so I went over to the Collider.com and got a list of some of the movies. Their list of the top 20 or so movies that Jack Nicholson has been on. And so I thought I'd, flash their names up on the screen and get your thoughts on the movie, if indeed you saw it. And people in the chat room, please feel free to tag along, to play along. Mars Attacks was one of the movies. You guys seen it? Jack Nicholson plays the president of the United States.
Yeah,
What'd you think?
I thought it was hilarious. You didn't like it, huh?
Didn't watch it.
Okay.
Really?
I thought it was really funny, man. It's a Tim Burton.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Jim Brown is in it.
The aliens were hilarious, man. They're like so evil. It was like,
yeah, beautifully rendered.
Yeah.
These 3D animations,
they're like
of
claymation or something.
Ooh.
Puppets.
Oh, give it a chance, Dan. Do it for
I'm
us.
not watching that. This man has made epic films, and we're talking about Mars Attacks.
It's an epic comedy.
That would be like trying to talk about a preseason game from Walters last season and saying, "See, he really wasn't that good."
We got a who is this? I Bleed. Oh, bear down. He's got some weird shit going on over here. Anyway, all right. So next movie.
What is that? Coding.
Yeah, it's Coding, right?
Yeah, Coding.
In 1960, he was a very young actor, and he was in the original Little Shop of Horrors. You guys ever see that? A Roger Corman picture?
I did see that.
A long
What'd you
time
think?
ago.
Again, it's not really my kind of film, but when I was a young man, like somewhere like 8, 9, whatever, I did see the Rick Moranis one. So I just watched Nicholson's just to compare it, and I probably like Nicholson's better. I mean, but I didn't really like it either. It's not my type of movie.
He was the Undertaker in Little Shop of Horrors, I think, right?
He, I don't remember.
It's been a long time since I saw the movie.
Me too. Like 5, 6, 7 years, somewhere through there.
Gosh, it's got to be more for me.
30 years for me.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Let's see. It says here 1960. It might not hold a candle to the musical version from 1986, but it's a pretty good low budget classic B movie directed by Roger Corman.
Yep. The king of B movies.
Yeah, it's also notable for being one of the very first movies to feature Jack Nicholson as a small but memorable role as Wilberforce, a dental patient. Seems to enjoy the pain.
Okay. Yep. I never saw The Crybaby Killer, which was his first movie.
Oh, wow.
He was only 21. It was like 1958. I think he played a teen serial killer or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't seen it. That was his first movie. He wrote Head, which was the Monkeys Freak Out movie.
Yeah.
Frank Zappa was in it and a bunch of other people.
He said that the reason they wanted to do Head because he worked with Bob Rafelson. And they were going to do 5 Easy Pieces next. 5 Easy Pieces next. Yeah. And so they wanted to do a movie called Head just so they can say on the movie poster, the guys that brought you Head.
Right.
So anyway, next movie on their list was As Good as It Gets. You guys ever seen that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it was all right. Yeah. That's Helen Hunt.
Oh, she's got a beautiful body.
She's good, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was okay.
She's had some. Have you seen her recently? She's had some plastic surgery. She does not look good.
No, it's not a good
surgery disasters.
Yeah, please.
Not as bad as Madonna, but getting up there.
When you say Helen Hunt, I remember the fat bastard character from Austin Powers when he goes, "What's my favorite Helen Hunt movie?" And he goes, "Twister," and he twists somebody's nipples or something.
I love it. Prizzi's Honor. I know that Dan Aguire just recently saw that with Nikki.
Yeah, I'm surprised that I had never caught on to this film. I mean, it wasn't great, but I liked it, and Nicholson was good in it. So
I saw it in the 80s. That's all.
Not the best movie, but it's good. Go ahead.
Yeah, I saw it in the 80s too, a while ago.
It's been a while.
But that's where he met Angelica Houston, who he was with.
No,
for
he was fucking her in the 70s, man.
Oh,
Was it?
Houston was in the 70s, really?
They were
Yeah,
together
like-
for a long time, right?
Yeah, for a really long time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Who was in this movie? Oh, it was Kathleen Turner.
Yeah.
She was in the movie. Okay.
She aged not so favorably either, but at the
One of
time
the
she was
sexiest
clearly like a
boys.
sex object, or not sex object. She was a what's the word I'm looking for? A pop culture, like she was viewed as sexy across the board at the time.
Sex symbol.
Sex symbol. There you go. Not a sex object. Jesus. She was a fuck object. No.
We view them as sex objects.
Greg Kinnear broke out after that movie.
Greg
That's
Kinnear
right.
was in the Curb finale this
Oh
week.
yeah,
He played the lawyer against Larry David.
Yeah.
He's awesome. Most of that movie where he played the guy from what was Hogan's Heroes, Autofocus. He was
great
yes.
he was great in that.
He was great as Dick Vermeil.
That's
Right.
Awesome
Yeah.
as Dick
Yes.
Vermeil.
Yeah.
You know where he really got his first break, at least the first time I saw him, was he used to do a show on E called Talk Soup. And
Yeah,
they would
Talk
show
Soup, yep.
clips
Yeah.
from the Jerry Springer show and stuff. And he had some good writers and he makes some funny jokes. He did that for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden I saw him in movies. He did a Sam Raimi movie where he played I'll give it away. He plays the bad guy. Jesus, I wish I could remember the title of that movie because it's worth watching, guys. It stars what's her name? Who was married to Tom Cruise for a while?
Nicole
Holmes?
Kidman?
No,
Oh,
not
Katie
Nicole.
Holmes. Katie Holmes.
Katie Holmes. Yeah, it's with Katie Holmes. I'm forgetting the actress, but it's a really good movie. I'll find the title and share.
You know who's the most underrated ex-Tom Cruise spouse is Mimi Rogers. Thought she was so hot.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
So
she
hot.
did a movie called The Massage, where she walked around for 60% of the movie topless.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the door in
Wow.
the floor with Jeff Bridges.
Yep. Yeah, very sexy woman. Very, very sexy. All right, As Good as He Gets. Did we talk about this one?
Yep.
No, not yet.
Yeah.
Oh, we did. The Pledge.
Melvin Udall was the character's name. It's great.
Oh,
It's
look
like
at
a
you.
misanthropic, romance novelist who didn't know anything. It was terrible at romance, right?
Mhm. Yeah. The Pledge is a movie I have not seen, but some people
I
seem
didn't
highly-
really like The Pledge. I know
It was
that
okay.
Sean Penn may have directed that one.
Yeah.
Yes,
Penn, yeah.
Sean Penn. Yeah.
I just thought that one wasn't very good.
The critic at the Collider said it was overdone, as most things that Sean Penn works on are. But he really loved Nicholson's performance.
The chat room is talking about starting Bajit and sprinkling in Caleb Williams while we're talking movies here.
No,
I need to
stop
put some
it.
people in a timeout. I'm about to. My finger's on the button.
Here's a good movie, Nicholson movie with Garfunkel, Carnal Knowledge.
Oh,
And
that's the best one you've acknowledged so far.
yeah,
Long
that's
time
a
ago,
good one.
I haven't seen that one in a long time. But
Yeah, when it was first released, I remember being in the theater, and there's that scene of Nicholson making out with Anne Margaret, and she's up against the wall, and her breasts are almost fully exposed, and it was just such a sexy scene, man.
yeah,
I told
40 and younger have no idea who Anne Margaret is, although it's a shame.
And
Yeah,
don't forget
so-
the lady that played
Right.
Murphy Brown was also in that as well.
Candace Bergen.
Candace Bergen, yep.
Yeah. And if I can mention real quickly before you get off of it, Art Garfunkel, being a man that's just like playing folk music, was in another movie where he was a fucking rapist called Bad Timing from 1980.
Yeah, Essential
What a good
Obsession.
film that was.
Yeah.
Wow, I gotta look for that.
been a
Bad
long
time.
time.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is like
Bad
80s.
Timing. 1980.
Yeah, this is like
you go ahead, Tooch. I'm sorry.
I was like in my teens when these movies were coming out, so that's why I don't really remember them too well. It's like 40 years ago for me.
Well, you don't know that Garfunkel is the way he is in the movie. He's sort of set up to be the good guy. I've given it away now, but as it turns out at the end, the big twist is like he date raped this woman when she was like unconscious or something.
Yeah. All right,
What's
next
the-
movie on my little list
What's the Sean
after
Penn, movie from the Springsteen song.
Yeah, I don't know. Zach, tell us what song
he
that's from.
directed The Indian Runner. Sean Penn.
Oh, is that from a Springsteen song?
I don't know, but that was a great movie. If you haven't seen The Indian Runner, it was
Never saw it.
what's that? Craig Moore or was David Morse and Viggo Mortensen are brothers.
Oh, two
Like
good actors.
Viggo Mortensen's like always has trouble with like drugs and crime and stuff, and his older brother is like a sheriff or trooper or something. Yeah, that's it. Yep, The Indian Runner, great movie.
I didn't see that.
As what's the not Patricia Arquette, but the other one.
Rosanna?
No, not Rosanna Arquette. It's Patricia Arquette. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. The other, yeah, the fatter one. Like is she fatter? She's a little fat.
God, neither one of them are fat.
Well, she was a little chunkier, I think. Patricia Arquette.
Patricia was in True Romance and Nightmare on Elm Street 3, was married to Nicolas Cage at one point, has no fat on her at all. At least she didn't.
None. Maybe now, yeah. A Few Good Men. Excellent Nicholson performance in a damn good movie.
Great performance by him personally, but the movie kind of bores me, honestly.
That, Rob Reiner directed?
Yes, Rob Reiner. Yes,
Rob Reiner. Okay, so
I mean, I don't want to watch it again.
Well directed, paced and edited, and dialogue was great. Acting was great.
Aaron Sorkin wrote the script.
Yeah,
and he's a great scriptwriter.
Yep.
Why don't you like it, Dan?
One of Nicholson's best performances, in my opinion.
I don't dislike it. It seems so like typical. Okay. Just kind of like a movie for just sort of like cookie cutter down the middle sort of thing. But he does play a memorable role, and he carries the film in his own way, even though he's not meant to. He's not the star. But I mean, it was okay. I didn't dislike it, but I'm never going to be like, dude, let's watch A Few Good Men again. I saw it like twice, and I never need to see it again.
Yeah, he chewed up the scenery in that one. It was like, remember when Tom Cruise and Kevin Pollak were talking about which uniforms they should wear? Like, we got to wear the whites. Yeah, it comes to you are wearing those faggoty white uniforms. It's like afterwards, like, you told me to wear the whites.
Who's that actor that was played alongside Tom Cruise? It was Demi Moore on the legal team, and then it was Kevin Pollak. Kevin Pollak. Yeah.
Muck.
Come on. I could just say that. Listen to these upcoming films that I got for you. So after A Few Good Men, did you guys ever see Reds?
Yes, with Warren Beatty.
Warren Beatty directed.
Nicholson was in that.
He had a role as a lover of Warren Beatty's co-star. Isn't that right?
Was it Annette Bening again? They were together a lot, it seemed.
Yeah, I think so.
That's right. Yeah, Warren Beatty and Annette Bening. Yeah,
basically, it's the story of John Reed, who was an American who covered the revolution in Russia during the 1900s, which I thought, who the fuck wants to see this?
It's Diane Keaton.
Hollywood movie.
Diane Keaton. Right. My bad. It's Diane Keaton from The Godfather. Yeah, Reds was pretty good. I mean, I didn't love it, but I liked it.
It's okay. I just didn't get the fact. First of all, I don't think Warren Beatty is a good director. He's a good actor.
Solid actor.
Yeah, but I thought the movie was, there was parts of it that could have been in the cutting room floor. I'm not a big fan of Warren Beatty as a director. Part of it has to do with NFL Films did a feature on Warren Beatty, and Ed Sable. Ed was the younger guy. Oh no, this young guy was Steve. Steve Sable said that when he was interviewing Warren Beatty, he says, "Okay, we want to do a cutaway shot," and Beatty was like, "What's cutaway?" And he's asking all these juvenile, stupid questions that a Hollywood actor and a director should know. I mean, who really directed Reds? This guy doesn't know what a cutaway is and some other basic film language.
Maybe he was just fucking with the Sables.
Could be. Broadcast News. Ever seen that one?
He's not credited in that one, but he's like the news anchor that randomly gets shown. Mm-hmm. Broadcast News is good. Was what's his name in it? A guy I used to not like at all, but
William Hurt.
Yeah. I've sort of like him now as I've gone back.
Right, Gina Davis.
No, Holly Hunter.
Oh, okay, Holly Hunter. I thought okay.
William Hurt was a guy I used to not like at all when I was a kid in the 80s. But yeah, going back and watching his films now, I sort of enjoy him, even though he's not with us anymore.
Yeah. This film has a special place in my heart because it was 1987 when it was released, and I was in my second year working at the CBS affiliate here in Chicago, and so I went to see it with a bunch of coworkers, and it was fun for us because we knew the TV business and we got all the lingo, and wow, it's very accurate how they're depicting this and depicting that and so forth. And then we went out for drinks afterwards and talked about the movie. It was a really well done movie, and
I probably would have enjoyed the movie better if I was out with you.
Exactly, you would have.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. And Nicholson plays like the head anchor of the network news, and everything needs to get his blessing, you know. So if he gives a nod to a reporter's report, that means you're in. If he looked at the screen sort of like quizzical look, you know, that means you're probably going to get fired. So he had a lot of power, and it wasn't as big a performance for him. And I thought at the time that maybe he was miscast, but it's a solid Nicholson performance. I never saw this next movie. What about you guys?
I saw that at the theater.
Yeah, that was great.
Overwhelmingly, the most thing that indelibly is stuck in my mind is Kathy Bates gets naked and she has a full bush. And Nicholson is so disgusted.
Yeah.
She gets in a hot tub with him, is trying to fuck him, and he's like so like, he like hates her bush, and so did I. And I love bushes, but not on Kathy Bates.
His wife was like unfeeling towards him in that movie. She'd be like, I don't want you peeing standing up because you get piss all over the place. You got to pee sitting down. So he was like always standing, like he takes a piss all over the fucking bathroom. You know, he just fucking hated her. You know,
that's good.
Yeah.
And Kathy Bates wanted to fuck him, and he did not want to fuck her.
That's hilarious. All right, in 1969 and 1970, I think these were the movies that put him on the book. Yeah. Easy Rider.
I like Five Easy Pieces. I really like Five Easy Pieces. Easy Rider, I thought was overrated. In a movie right before that, when he was like a drug movie called Psych Out or something from '68.
Oh, wow.
The Trip he was in too. The Trip. He wrote that one
up.
too. He wrote Head and he wrote The Trip.
Psych Out's the one. Yeah, it's Psych Out's after The Trip.
Okay. The Trip he wrote, and like Peter Fonda loved the script and he thought it was like brilliant. And then after they shot the film and it was edited, you know, against the way they wanted it, like came out, it was terrible. The movie was terrible, and Peter Fonda hated it. He was pissed off.
Yeah, I have not, to be honest with you, one of these two movies I have not seen, and the other one I can hardly remember. I've seen both of them, but the one that he's in the diner and he tells the waitress, tells her to basically stick it up her ass or something like that.
Hold it between your legs. The chicken salad on toast. You know, it's like
that's it. Yes.
Hold the toast. I want you to hold it between your legs.
I know that's an iconic scene because it was, you know, that era in America where people were protesting, and he captured the zeitgeist, I guess is the word of America.
He was a piano player.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And his dad died. He went back to like his parents' house because his dad died, and his girlfriend or wife or whatever was really rude to them. Mm-hmm. I like Five Easy Pieces. I thought Easy Rider was really overrated.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to watch those two films.
Right. Yeah, Easy Rider was decent.
Yeah, Terms of Endearment.
Terms of Endearment's good, and the sequel made me fucking cry, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Yep.
Me too. When Shirley MacLaine's about to die in the second one,
Deborah Winger.
Yeah, Nicholson comes back for a cameo in the second one. He's like her love interest in the first one.
Yep.
But in the second one, like every time something happens, a book closes and it's like January 1996. And then like you just see her leading up to her death. That was called An Evening Star or The Evening Star. That one made me cry, man. But in terms of Endearment, excellent film. Nicholson, like you said, Jeff Daniels is in it. Yeah.
Jeff Daniels, that was like one of his first movies that kind of he broke out, and then Deborah Winger was his wife, and he was just an ass, you know. And she was, of course, the daughter of Shirley MacLaine, and Shirley MacLaine had a later years affair with a younger man who was Nicholson. He was an astronaut,
right?
You know, and Deborah Winger, of course, gets cancer. You know, that's what made me cry. It was the daughter, you know. And then the second movie, Shirley MacLaine, right, Danny?
Yeah, that one was really sad to me.
Yeah, I forget the name of the second movie though.
The Evening Star or An Evening Star.
Okay, An Evening Star. Okay, all right.
I never saw the second one. The first one was outstanding, you know. And I walked into the theater.
Best Picture, I think, wasn't it? In terms of
it was
Best Picture.
And I walked into the theater thinking I'm supposed to cry in this movie. There's no fucking way. Now that I know there's a death scene that I'm supposed to cry, I'm not gonna fucking I cried. It was very well done.
I think it was what 85 or 84?
83.
83 around there. Yeah,
the second one was sadder to me. I thought the second one was the one that made me cry.
I'll have to look at that one. Okay. I know Dan has seen this and likes it a lot. I like it too. Tooch, what do you think about The Last Detail?
Yeah, it's good. Yep. And Randy Quaid, and they're transporting him. They're sailors.
Yeah.
Right? Marines or sailors? Navy.
I think they're Navy.
Yeah, that was great. To show him.
I hated Nicholson's mustache in it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. That's one of his better films, I think.
Nomad in the comments said that
Shelley Duvall.
Yeah, but at first he said Shelley Long. Where is it? There it is. Shelley Long walked right past me in Columbus, Ohio, smelling like old cabbage, and then he says, "She was in The Shining, right?" I go, "No, it's Shelley Duvall."
She was on Cheers. Diane from Cheers.
Yeah. The story with Shelley Duvall is that after she made The Shining, or during the making of The Shining, it was such an intense period that something knocked her off her rocker.
She didn't want to make movies anymore.
He was disrespectful to her the whole film and intimidated her and berated her. And it just was a horrible experience for her.
Yeah.
It was more of that.
A great performance in Rocky, right?
Right.
With some,
No.
That's no, it's Talia Shire in Rocky.
Talia Shire.
She's from The Godfather.
Right. They look so alike, man.
A little bit. But yeah, she
olive oil.
It was more of that.
Oil.
Yes, she was in Popeye.
Popeye. Yep.
It was more of that method acting, crap that they did with Maria Schneider that we talked about earlier. So Mr. Mayhem says Kubrick treated Shelley Duvall badly on the Shining set. So Kubrick was very demanding. He had them do like 90 takes on things, and Nicholson talked about that in an interview. And he says, I respected the fact that he was such a perfectionist, but it did get fucking tiring having to do something dozens and dozens of times.
Popeye was a Robert Altman film.
Yeah, Robert Altman. I was shocked when he did that.
Yep.
Here's a guy who has devoted his life to being an offbeat creative type, and now he was doing a mass commercial film.
Cartoon adaptation.
Yep, never saw it.
Okay, it's funny.
Batman. This is one I'm dying to hear you guys talk about.
Batman is the only Batman film that I like. Oh, I like the old Adam West one when I was a kid. But the first Batman, I remember I saw this. I got the game-winning hit in a T-ball game that day, and my uncle said, "What do you want to do?" I was like, "Take me to Batman." And, I remember the theater was crowded. They oversold it, and some dude went to go to the bathroom and come back, and someone had taken his seat, and they got into a fight. And I was 8 years old the summer of '89. I was afraid to get up and leave my seat. I was like, someone will take my seat and want to beat me up, because again, I was only 8. But Nicholson carries the film, man. He's fucking great. Everybody's like, oh, what about Heath Ledger just because he died? The best Joker is Jack Nicholson in Batman. I like Michael Keaton. I hated Batman Returns, the second one, and then all the rest of them are dog shit. This
Michael
one was
Keaton
great.
Excellent. Michael Keaton was great. I know Michael Keaton tells a story about Jack Nicholson in Batman. He said people were really against the idea of me, Michael Keaton, playing Batman. They hated the idea of Michael Keaton as Batman. So Michael Keaton thought, I really have to put myself in this role. I was working out, and I'm back stage working out, and Jack Nicholson walks by. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He's like, "I'm working out." He goes, "Well, why the fuck are you doing that?" And he walked away. and Michael Keaton was like, "He's right. I fit better in the fucking suit with when I'm skinnier."
That's funny.
Yeah. Great movie though. Tim Burton. Tim Burton's excellent director, man.
Yeah, but I agree with Muck Muck. That Nicholson and all the characters in that Batman movie were clownish.
It's a Tim Burton movie though.
I much more prefer the 3 Christopher Nolan Batman movies. Dan just said that they're trash. They are not. This is the guy that made Oppenheimer. This is the guy that's made other great movies. He took those skills of movie making and applied them to a superhero character. Yeah. And I beg you, Dan, to give them another chance.
Is that the one where Christian Bale is talking like this?
to do for themselves.
with his teeth sticking out. It's just fucking stupid, man. I hate it. He sticks his teeth out every time he's talking with Batman.
What do they have the right to do for themselves?
Like, what is he doing? I don't like Christian Bale as Batman. I don't like comic book movies. I just saw that one when I was a kid, and I liked it because of Nicholson.
The Dark Knight Rises is a classic. It's a great movie.
My gosh.
With
Yes.
Bane, Tom Hardy as Bane. That's
And the one before that
one
was
of the best villains of all time was Bane.
Yeah. And the Heath Ledger as the Joker, one of the best villains of all time.
Oh God! And
that,
now we have to hear.
Hold on a second.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
That opening scene in that movie, the robbery scene, it's all shot on 70 millimeter film, and the Hans Zimmer score. Very little dialogue. It's the Joker's crew, and we don't know it's the Joker at the time. They're all wearing clown masks. They go into the bank and they commit this robbery, and it's just beautifully shot. I mean, I'm telling you, it's one of the, from an action film perspective, it's right up there with any action film scene ever. It's so well done. Again, Hans Zimmer's music is just so fucking good. Yeah. I would beg you, Dan, just to watch that opening scene and tell me what you think.
The last one is the best, man. The story's fucking killer. Yeah, Joaquin is great as the Joker too.
They're about to do a second one of that. That's what I was going to say. So he's going to win an Academy Award. The fact that he beat DiCaprio and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or Adam Driver for The Marriage Story was a sin to me. Everything Joaquin Phoenix does, they're like, his brother was great and he died, so let's just fucking suck up to him. Joaquin Phoenix. Remember when he was on Letterman with a beard, acting like he was lost and confused? Like, I just think this guy's so overrated. He's so overrated.
I haven't seen Napoleon yet, but it's like 3 hours long, and I'm like, I don't know if I have. Did you see it? Napoleon?
I'm not going to do it. No. I don't have 3 hours to spare. No. All right. The next one on the list here, we've got 5 left. Departed.
My favorite.
Great. 4 or 5 stars.
A perfect movie. Shot for this pacing, this dialogue, the plot, the way it was shot, the acting, the casting, the directing, one of the most perfect movies of all time. Perfect.
And when Wahlberg comes back at the end and to avenge DiCaprio, that makes the whole movie. The whole movie.
Mm-hmm. It's great because Wahlberg is a Boston guy. It was all Boston, like with Martin Sheen's from Boston, Mark Wahlberg's from Boston, Matt Damon's from Boston. They're all from the area, I know Nicholson's from New Jersey, and DiCaprio grew up in California, but the rest of the cast is a perfect film. Yep, one of my favorite movies of all time. Yep.
Yeah, I definitely want to see that again real soon. Yep. That's one of those that I know I'm going to like even more the second time.
Martin Scorsese,
that's what Christopher was doing when he got killed on The Sopranos, was fucking with the Departed soundtrack, and they crashed when Tony killed him.
That's right.
He was like flipping through the tracks.
I remember that. Yes. All right, some really good ones coming up here. The next one is probably one of my top 10 favorite movies, Chinatown.
I like Chinatown and The Two Jakes.
Yeah, you told me
sequel. That. Yep. Chinatown is
the way that I'm sorry,
Roman Polanski, right?
Yeah, but the way that we talked about Shelley Duvall in The Shining was the way he treated what's her name on Chinatown?
Faye Dunaway.
Faye Dunaway. Yeah, he treated her like shit all the way through Chinatown, and allegedly Faye would like defer to Nicholson to defend her, and he was kind of like afraid to interrupt because he didn't want to get shit canned himself. And so that's the way that Evan Flo went back on the set. She was like, "Come on, Jack, defend me," and he was like, "I don't want to get involved in this shit," that kind of thing.
Oh wow, never heard that.
It's like he wore a nose band-aid like the whole time. It kind of bothered me a little.
Yeah, about 70% of the movie. Yeah, he gets
somebody cut his nose with a knife.
Well, and that was the director. Roman Polanski played that role. He goes up to him. The plot line is Nicholson is a hired private eye, and they're trying to figure out the murder behind somebody. He learns that it's because somebody's been stealing water from the Los Angeles and so forth. And so some gangster, while he's investigating this at night, comes up to him with a knife and says, "You're a nosy little motherfucker, aren't you?" And he slices his fucking nose. It's blood all over the place. Great scene.
I can see someone being like, "Roman, that's a stage knife." Right?
Someone should have gone to Roman and said, "Don't you want to sodomize teenagers and get them drunk?" Well,
that's right.
Punch him in the nose.
That's what he did right afterwards.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah. Next movie is a great one. I saw it when it was first released, and I can't wait to see it again. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah,
I think it's okay. I think it's a little overloved, but yeah, I like it. I mean, I think it's not. It doesn't live up to the hype.
I remember thinking it lived up to the hype when I first saw it, but I'm interested to see my reaction to it now.
Yeah,
based on the Ken Casey book, great actors. I mean,
It's Jim McMahon's favorite movie too.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Jim
that
McMahon
would make
loves
a lot of sense.
He loves that movie.
He is sort of a Randall. What was the character's name? Randall something. McMahon is sort of like that character. He's the different guy in a fucking insane asylum, which was the Chicago. Love it. Can't wait to see it again. Milos Forman was a director. Louise Fletcher won an Academy Award as Nurse Ratched.
Yeah.
Good movie. And then the final one on the list.
TV show on Ratched based around her with.
Oh, really?
What was that actress's name? Sarah. God, what is her
Sarah name? Huckabee Sanders. No, I'm just kidding.
No, she's from Chicago too. I can't remember her name.
Sarah Silverman. No, can't be Sarah.
No, she's in that Ocean's 8 movie. It's like the sister-in-law of Sandra Bullock, the character Sarah Polly.
Oh yeah, that's Sarah Polly.
She plays Nurse Ratched.
Wow,
it's like the origin story of Nurse Ratched. I think it was on Hulu. But speaking of Napoleon, Stanley Kubrick wanted to do a Napoleon movie, and he wanted Nicholson to be Napoleon, but it never got made. But man, I would love to see that movie if it
that would have been awesome. That's one of those on that list. Movies that never got made, but you wish you could have seen them. The Shining is the final one on the list. Speaking of Stanley Kubrick, outstanding movie. You guys have any stories you want to share about The Shining?
It scared the piss out of me when I first saw it. I saw it at the theater. I think it was 1981.
Mm-hmm.
I was 13. I think I begged my parents to take me to it and stuff because I liked Stephen King's novels and stuff. I was reading a lot of them in high school and junior high and stuff. So I'd read The Shining and I was like, I gotta see the movie. Please take me, And I was so scared. I was like 13, man. But yeah, Stanley Kubrick is great. Great director, great movie.
Dan, you remember your first screening of The Shining?
Yeah, it's from 1980, not to contradict to
it's like
May of 80. It's right before I was born. And so I didn't see it myself until HBO in like 88 or whatever. And I thought, God, what a fucking great film. As soon as even as a kid, I just thought it was fucking phenomenal. And I love Dr. Sleep as well. I think they're both just
Dr.
phenomenal.
Sleep is fucking killer, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great
There's
movie.
a couple of Nicholson films I'd like to mention before, because I have to go, that I was hoping that would get brought up. I really liked the one where he's the straight-laced guy and Bruce Dern is the one who's playing Nicholson. And going into it, it was supposed to be the other way around, and they got on the set and they talked to each other and then pitched the director. That was called The King of Marvin Gardens.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't love it, but I liked that one. I really liked.
I don't remember. I saw it in the 80s, probably when I was like 14.
I really liked
70s movie, right? 70s.
Yeah, early 70s. I really liked the one with him and Jessica Lange, the remake to The Postman Always Rings Twice.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like The Witches of Eastwick.
Yeah. Yes.
That was really good. Yeah.
The Crossing Guard with he and Angelica Houston and I think Sean Penn.
Yep. That's the Sean Penn movie. Yep.
Yeah. I didn't really care for his portrayal in Hoffa, and I really hated Heartburn with Meryl Streep. I thought that was really shitty, but those are some films that I wanted to acknowledge from Jack there. And Wolf was okay. I know you watched that recently, a year or two ago, Aldo.
Yes.
He and James Spader and Michelle Pfeiffer.
Right. What about Anger Management? Bruja reminds us.
Never saw it.
Damn, I don't remember that one.
Adam Sandler. That's why I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler and Jack Nicholson.
Yes.
Yeah, by that time
I haven't seen it. Wow, it's wild.
Adam Sandler.
I just thought Sandler made good. Go ahead, Aldo. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Adam Sandler has an anger management issue, and the court assigns Jack Nicholson to help him manage his anger.
He also has an anger management issue, I'm guessing, right? Nicholson.
Of course, he was born with it. Go ahead, Dan. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say I love Sandler and SNL. I did, but I'm not a big fan of his movies. So I just was like, Adam Sandler's in it. I'm not watching it.
Okay. Adam Sandler's made some decent movies lately.
Yeah.
What was that one, Spaceman or whatever? Was that recent? The one he did on Netflix. Great, man.
Yeah.
The one just did where he's alone on the spaceship and this like giant spider talks to him and stuff. It's really killer, man.
The one with Pete and KG's in made me, I felt nervous the whole movie. The one, Uncut Gems.
Yeah, that was good too, man.
It made me feel, like I said, on edge the whole movie. Maybe that was the design, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
There's a talent. He's a talent scout for the NBA too. He finds a
Something
kid in
like that.
Spain. There's one. I forget the name of that movie. I don't know what the name of
That's
that was.
Uncut Gems, isn't it?
No, Uncut Gems. He's like a diamond dealer, right?
Yeah.
The other one, he's like a scout for the NBA 76ers.
Unfortunately, gentlemen, I got to go. I didn't mean to interrupt you all. I apologize for stepping on you. I love the show. I got to piss still, and I got to get to my job. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I got to piss, and I got to go too. But Dan, get out of here. Go save some lives, and thanks very much.
Well, I'm sorry for interrupting you, though. I want to say that for sure. Both
No, get out of here. You can interrupt me whenever you want.
All right, guys. Talk to you next week. Can't wait.
Take care, brother. Nomad asks, when are we all going to watch Blackula? And
I'd like to see it, man.
Blackula?
Yeah, I don't know. The one where he's the NBA scouts called Hustle.
Oh, I'm talking about something totally different here.
Blackula, I don't know. Is that a 70s movie too?
Yeah, it was part of the black exploitation era, you know. And I saw all those movies, Nomad. You know, I was a little kid, and my uncle would take me downtown Chicago to watch The Mac, Blackula, Coffee, all the Pam Grier movies.
Yeah, I've seen some of those. Yep.
Yeah, I'm like an early teenager, and this beautiful Pam Grier,
Melvin Van Peebles films.
Melvin Van Peebles films. Saw all those. Oh man, what an education for movie making, and also going into a downtown Chicago theater and being surrounded by black people yelling back at the screen. I'm like, holy shit, this is fun. Loved it.
I saw Anatomy of a Fall on your recommendation. Really enjoyed it. Really good movie.
Yeah, tell people the plot line.
Yeah, there is a husband and wife who sometime in their past, I think when the boy was little, there was an accident and the boy's like pretty much blinded, or at least legally blind, and they have marital problems that are slowly uncovered throughout the course of the movie, and through a trial where the wife is put on trial for killing the husband. The husband died mysteriously, whether he fell out or committed suicide or someone pushed him out of their chalet in the French Alps. And it's very well done, man. It's very well paced. It's very well acted. It's gorgeous to look at the French Alps too, as well. And you know, the whole thing, the character study was great. You know, you get into you forget that they're actors in this movie. You know, it's great. Very good movie.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. Anatomy of a Fall, and it starts with the accident, or is it a crime? And it's the unraveling of the story.
They leave it ambiguous too, you know.
Yeah,
at the end, you know.
Well, don't tell people the end.
Well, I mean, they wanted to leave it open to interpretation. You know?
Yeah. Anyways, what's going on with your Friday night show, Tooch?
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm sad that college basketball is over. Of course, I thought we had a great Final Four and championship. You know, of course, and then women's basketball took some of that spotlight. You know, and that was you know, it was sad. You know, Caitlin Clark is from her hometown is the town that I live in, West Des Moines, Iowa.
Awesome.
And occasionally you could see her at Sacred Heart, which is, you know, one of the churches that I went to when I first got here. And you could see her in mass, you know, there if you went there. She went to grade school there too, and they have a pretty good basketball program. It's not really a surprise that she made something of herself, and then went to Dowling Catholic, you know, in Des Moines, and then on to Iowa to play college ball. And now it's like, you know, she could stay one more year, and the NIL should probably make more money, you know, than she would in the WNBA. But great story. I had never really watched her play that much, you know.
Well, let me correct you on something, because she has said that the NIL money won't go away. She's still going to do commercials for all those
Okay.
companies. So the NBA salary now, which isn't much, it's like $75,000. She's going to make 7.5 million in endorsements.
Right.
But that salary from the WNBA is in addition to all those sponsors that are going to follow her into the
sure.
pros. So
Whether
she's
it's
not really losing money.
Nike or Gatorade or whatever.
Wendy's, you name it. Yeah.
But I mean, I had never really watched much until this season, and I'm like, God damn, she's like the Jordan of, behind the back shooting, the move. She could drive to the hoop. She's fucking good, man. I know she's, it's like if you put her in the men's NBA, she would suck. But,
no doubt. Right.
But,
the thing is that she is such a damn good shooter, but people overlook how well she passes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she gets people open for open shots. She anticipates where they're going to be. She'll throw a bounce pass 20 feet, 30 feet, and that there's nobody there, but
full court
there's a player
pass.
running there. Yeah.
Someone running down the
She's got that
court.
Larry Bird, Magic Johnson court awareness. It's really fantastic to watch.
And I do have so I watched the Final Four on Saturday, from Purdue, North Carolina State, and then UConn and Alabama, which was a great game, and I was like, so Purdue scored 63 against NC State. And to me, UConn is like one of the best defenses in the league with Klingon and the guards. And then, Purdue's a pretty fucking good defense too with Zach Edey. It's pretty hard to get by him. And that was really the key, was that the Connecticut's guards were able to drive and sneak past Edey, and that was a great battle watching Donovan Klingon and Zach Edey battle under there, and Klingon got into some foul trouble. And I'm like, after the Final Four ended Saturday night, I waited until that Purdue Connecticut line came out. I was like, Connecticut -5.5. I'm like, boom. Instantly put my bet in at -5.5 because I'm like, 5.5 is a great number, because at the end of the game, if there's fouls, like maybe Purdue's behind, they're fouling Connecticut, they could easily get over 5.5, free throws at the end of the game. So 5.5 and under for a line, if you're taking a favorite, is a pretty good bet. And
Makes
then I quickly text Sean, because I know Anthony's asleep at that time. He goes to bed early. He's a fucking pussy. Don't tell him I said that to him.
No.
And then, I text Sean. I'm like, Connecticut -5.5. How many units? And he's like, I like Purdue. I'm like, oh, fuck you. I'm like, no way. There's no fucking way. It's like Connecticut with they beat every team in the tournament by double digits every game.
Yes. Dominating.
It's like if Purdue only scored 63 against of NC State, how much are they going to score against Connecticut? Well, they only scored 60. That's why Anthony, I like the under. Two really good. Those are probably two of the top defenses in college basketball. I played the under. Boom, under 145.5. It's 135 points scored, and then we had -5.5. So I put 3 units on it. I'm like, God damn it, I really want to bet a lot. Because I feeling, Connecticut is going to win. I call Anthony. I'm like, I got to put some more money. I go back, put 3 more units, and but I was -6 then. I'm like, I'm fine with it, -6. So I had two 3-unit bets on, and it was like 36-30 at halftime. And I'm like, I text Anthony. I'm like, that's the thing with Connecticut. It's like a close game. It's like, then all of a sudden you walk away 5 minutes, make yourself some nachos, and they're up 14. It's like, how
it's over with. Yeah.
It's over. Yeah, it was great.
They dominated, just plain fucking dominated.
Dude, those guys are, it's one of the best college basketball teams I've ever seen in my life.
Yep. And the coach Hurley says he's coming back because he wants to create a dynasty. He's got 2 in a row. He's going to make it 3, maybe 4. We'll see.
Crazy. So that was over. And then now I'm sad because we were talking baseball, weekend sports betting tips. And then I got to recommend a TV show for you because I started watching it and I really like it. It's it's called The Gentleman and it's on Netflix. And it's Guy Ritchie. It's a TV show, 8 episodes based in the Guy Ritchie London crime universe. And it's so fucking good, man.
I gotta see that.
It's like watching 8 little Guy Ritchie movies.
Oh, I love it.
Crazy things that happen to these criminals and the acting. It's got Ray Winstone. It's got Giancarlo Esposito. It's got Theo Jones. It's got Kaya Scodelario. It's a lot of good British character actors and stuff, man. It's so funny, man. It's funny and it's violent and it's great. It's like, the Gentleman, which is Matthew McConaughey in Guy Ritchie's movie where he plays a pot dealer. This is also kind of like a pot movie too, with the underground of the drug world and the London criminal underground. But man, it's so funny, man. Giancarlo Esposito is a great actor. Ray Winstone is great. I mean, the cast is fucking awesome. I read there was an interview with Guy Ritchie where it was like, yeah, they gave me all this money and I can flesh out the crime world and I get 8 episodes to do it. He's like, you guys are gonna love it. So anyways, I started watching, I got hooked up. My wife and I were laughing. There's some really funny scenes and stuff. That's so good.
Oh, that's definitely on the list on Netflix. We'll definitely check that out. STC says that he worked at his dad's first shop on Milwaukee Avenue, half a block from Damon and North. Exactly. 3-way intersection. Where was I there in the early 80s? STC, I moved into the Humboldt Park area, which is just
south
west. South of there. Yeah. And so hung out a lot on Milwaukee, Damon, North Avenue. When I moved into Humboldt Park, it was the late 60s and didn't move out of that area. I went to Wicker Park, lived in Wicker Park with a girlfriend, and then on Logan Boulevard. So that area there, I know like the back of my hand. Now things have changed. It's become more yuppified now, but I grew up around.
There were some mansions. I mean, Humboldt Boulevard and Logan Avenue, man. The mansions Logan there. Boulevard. One time it was like there was the wealthy part of the houses on Humboldt Lagoon.
Yes.
Holy shit! My mom and I used to go. I forget what it was called. Cup of Cheer. You could tour. They would have them open once a weekend. When we lived in the city, I lived in Jefferson Park or Portage Park, that area.
Yeah,
and we could go through and tour some of those Logan Square and Humboldt Park mansions. Man, I'm telling you, dude,
pretty cool.
So, I drove through there recently. Did I tell you my story when I was when I was in Chicago recently? I went there to, my wife and I had do some taxes. I went and saw my brother. I took the girls to the Museum of Science and Industry because they don't remember the last time they were there. The chicks and the coal mine and all that stuff, and the history of the White City or whatever.
Yeah.
And so we drive to Hyde Park, and then my wife was like, "Take me to Seafood City." It's like a Filipino grocery store. And it's like, so I'm on the southeast side at Hyde Park. I have to drive to the northwest side, and I'm like plotting the route on my phone. It's like the Kennedy is fucking red, with like
traffic.
Yeah, and the Eisenhower's red. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, so I'm taking back roads. I'm going like this, and I went through Humboldt Park and Logan Square. I'm trying to get on Milwaukee Avenue so I go on an angle.
Keep moving. Yeah.
Right. Keep moving. It was a nightmare. I'm like, stuck. I'll take Western Avenue. Nope. I'll try to take Belmont because I needed to go to Lawrence and Elston, which is around where.
You should have hopped on Elston. There's nobody on Elston.
Right. I got on Elston. It makes sense, but
Milwaukee is always busy, man. Always busy.
But anyways, it took a long time to go from Hyde Park to whatever that area is up there, North Center, whatever that is.
Well, you're talking about the homes on the boulevards there. I once got invited to a party at Bob Surratt's house.
Oh, man.
And he had a home he was married at the time with Carrie Cochran, for people who don't know, Bob Surratt was a radio disc jockey and anchor man in Chicago for many years. And Carrie Cochran was very popular in the 80s. And so they were married in this mansion on the boulevard. Man. Went to the party. It was great. They brought in a good humor truck with ice creams for all the party goers. I had a hell of a time. It was a really, really great
Beautiful
time.
Home, huh?
Yeah, outstanding. All of the kitchen furniture was like 50s style, nice. And the bathroom furniture was a tub. It was like they invested a lot of money to build that atmosphere in their home. It was very cool.
Yeah. So did you watch some basketball tournament, NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I saw, I saw Caitlin, of course. I think she's
Yep.
a phenomenal player and deserves
Yep.
our attention. And what I'm most excited about, Tucci, and I was going to ask you, is the WNBA. Their draft is coming up next
Yeah.
Monday, I believe. There's so much talent coming in. I mean, Angel Reese, who
Yep.
played on the LSU team, and she's got this
Yeah.
really
Awesome
great
player, too.
rivalry with.
Yep.
She's projected to go 6th or 7th in this draft. You would think,
Yeah.
she
Camila
might be
Cardoso is another one on South
right.
Carolina.
Another
She's like
one,
a giant.
and she's projected to go 5th. So
Yeah.
the Sky have the 3rd. The Chicago Sky have the 3rd and 8th pick. They can walk away with both of these players if they want. But the
Yeah.
article I read on ESPN Plus is that there are
Wouldn't that be
players that
something
are
they
rated
trade with
higher.
each other? Yeah, that would be
Would
something.
be
Yeah. If they're on
unbelievable.
the same team, yeah, it'd be cool. But
So
no,
my question to you: are you looking forward to expanding into WNBA odds making?
I think I might like to at least watch some games and do something.
Yeah.
I bet on WNBA games before when I thought it was a good enough bet to place. I know we did the women's NCAA women's championship. Like Joe Mandel texts me, he's like, "What do you think? Iowa plus 4.5." I was like, "Dude, South Carolina, they're like giants, man. I know my Hawkeyes. I like the Hawkeyes, but I would take a South Carolina. It's like that. They were so much bigger.
They had such
know?
a great defensive plan for Caitlin.
Yep.
They tired her out.
Yeah, they
when
did.
there was like 5,
Yep.
6 minutes left in the game, you could tell she had
Yeah.
run out of
Yep, she left
gas.
shots short. I mean,
Yeah.
they couldn't have asked for a great. They were up 14, like in the first half, part of the first half.
Mhm.
They like shot out of a cannon. They were up, 10, 14 on South Carolina. But
Right.
I was like, I knew they were going to wear them down. It's the size of South Carolina. I mean, that Cardoso is a giant. She's like 6'7". Her arms are super long. It's like
Yeah.
it's like Zach Edey,
All of them are hot too. I can't wait for the NBA season.
Yeah, some of them are pretty hot, man.
Some of them were really, really hot. And I loved
Yeah.
it too, how
Yep.
Coach Don Staley gave recognition to Caitlin. And you can see the players in the background all
Oh, yeah.
nodding
Yep.
affirmatively.
It was a
That,
revenge game for South Carolina, too. I
Oh.
knocked them out last year,
that was a shocker last year. I couldn't
Yeah.
believe that happened. That's when Caitlin got onto my radar after
Yeah.
that game last year. But yeah, it was a great,
Yeah.
great tournament. Lots of fun. And
Yeah. And
I'm looking
it
forward.
was nuts here in West Des Moines because like everywhere you
I
go,
bet.
it was like Caitlin this, Caitlin that, and little girls and stuff.
Yeah.
My
Did you
my
work on a
daughter-
magazine? Did you work
I
on
worked on the Caitlin. Yeah, I should have brought it home. Yeah, it's on the newsstands right now. I was at the grocery store.
Is it the ESPN one or the other
ESPN,
one?
Caitlin Clark. Yeah.
Okay, I have
did
it.
that one. Oh, you
I
did?
purchased it. It's
Look
upstairs.
inside
Yeah.
there. Yeah, my name's
Okay.
inside there in the credits.
I will do that. I will do
Yeah.
that.
That was
Yeah.
awesome, man. A great magazine to work on. We had to do that one in like 48 hours. So those
Mhm.
ones, I like working on those high pressure ones. I'll be like, I'll work on it like all day long, like, and then middle of the night we're finished, and then I'll get the next day off. I could sleep in,
Yeah, I
take
love
the
that.
next day off. I could check in if I want at my leisure on my titles and stuff. But
Yeah,
that's always fun to do. I like doing the Super Bowl one and all that stuff.
yeah.
Any of the ESPN ones I like doing. But yeah,
Mhm.
my wife and girls and I watched all the Caitlin, the two most recent Caitlin games.
Mhm.
Even my little girls are like, "How do you shoot the ball, Dad?" Like
Ah,
trying to
I
show
love
them and
it.
stuff. Might get them into some like kiddie basketball training where they can learn
Yeah,
some basics and stuff. But
yeah.
my 7-year-old likes volleyball too, so we'll try her getting her to
Awesome.
do some of that. But we're
Yeah.
moving soon. It's like I'm closing the house 17 days, closing on the house, then I'll be able to take like a month or two to move in slowly, because we got this apartment for another month.
Okay.
And then, I was like, they wanted like 60 days notice, and I gave 54 days, I was like, is it
Mhm.
6 days matter? Oh no, you're going to owe us for 6 days, prorated. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
I've been here 4.5 years, never late. Like I was telling them too. I'm like, look, we're trying to buy a place with the market because houses would go on sale at 8 in the morning and they were sold at 2 p.m.
Gone.
I couldn't do it. I mean, we'd either get outbid or we didn't get our offer in fast enough, whatever
Mhm.
it was. It's like there was some nice property. My wife and I liked this one. There's a little neighborhood called Hidden Creek. I didn't even know it existed because you take 50th Street down here to Grand Avenue, you think it ends, but it doesn't. There's like a gravel road that goes up, and then there's High Street. It goes up to High Street, It's on the top of a bluff, and then
Mhm.
Commerce Street is a little bit lower. And these are all like former fishing shacks in like
Mhm.
the 1920s. That like the lots have been torn down, some new houses were built and stuff. But when the leaves are off the trees, you look down 100 feet on the river, the
Hmm.
Raccoon River in the back. I was like, this would be a great property, and then we
Ah,
got a great view of the river, sit out back, you got the river
good.
rolling, and stuff. And we didn't get that one. We're like, all right, we'll go look at some other ones and stuff. Became really hard because the houses were going so fast. And then
Amazing.
after our offer was accepted on the house we're moving into now, the house next door to that house on High Street went up for sale. Like, oh, like, damn, because it was so quiet, that neighborhood back there. Nobody even knows it exists in the middle of like forest and stuff. The road aren't even paved. It's like unincorporated West Des Moines. It was like so beautiful back there. I was like, nobody even knows it. I didn't know it existed. I've lived here for 4.5 years. It's like, damn.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it would have been nice. But we got a nice house too. We're on Valley
Good.
Junction, West Des Moines Valley, historic part of West Des Moines.
Well, congratulations on the new home. We'll be back here next week on Tuesday. It'll be closer to the draft. It'll be let's see. Can I get this up on the screen? Yeah.
Oh man.
So next week it'll be 8 days. Yeah. But when we're on the air next week, it'll be 8 days, 18 hours or so, approximately, until not 8. Yeah, 8 days.
Nice.
To the draft, but right now it's 15 days and 20 hours.
There'll be another decision gate right after Caleb Williams is drafted. The Bears will have to decide between, according to the chat room, they have to decide between Tyson Bagent and Caleb Williams.
That's right.
Decision gate 2, chat room, it's coming. It's coming.
That's right. I should put together a video, all that video of Tyson Bagent working out. It's got people with hard-ons.
Right, I know, exactly. I like Tyson, man. I'm just kidding. I think it's funny that the chat room is just like, hey, we should start Tyson. Caleb has to earn it. Tyson Bagent's the starter now. It's like, really? Come on, man. What planet do we live on?
Well, we didn't give people a lot of football talk, but we will have some tomorrow night. Danny Shimon is going to talk about defensive line prospects. And, of course, you can always find lots of great football talk over at the Nomad Network, Mr. Shorty's Bears Country Podcast. There's lots of good shows out there, and we hope and we thank you. We're very grateful to Nomad and Mr. Shorty for dropping by, and the hundreds of other people that have tuned in live. I got a count on my meter of 473 from their Facebook and X. Yeah,
I've written all this material for a draft show.
Well, let's do it next week.
I got Jordan Silvera and Aaron Current. I'm trying to get Baralissimo.
Mm-hmm.
Like Baralissimo's so busy. I don't know if he can. I'll contact him again. But we're running out of time. But I have like a full, full show outline and everything. And questions and all sorts of stuff, and players to talk about, fits for the Bears, and priorities and all sorts of stuff. But gotta get that date, cemented.
Yeah, call those guys and make them an offer they can't refuse.
Yeah, it might be a Barfly tailgate show in the end.
There you go.
It's already Aaron Jordan and I are, Barfly tailgate anyways. So
there you go. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Again, Draft on Tap tomorrow. But before that, it'll be Mac and Reed at 6 p.m. Central. And before that, it'll be the guys talking hockey, Vinny and Frank.
Thursday, anything?
Thursday, there is Crosstown Crosstalk with Vinny Parisi, and nothing on Thursday night. And
South Burbs Hitmen. That shows the wheels are falling off.
Yeah, they are on Monday. They did a show Monday night entitled Craptacular.
Damn, I was watching the NCAA tournament. It was like, getting all hyped up, preparing food for the game, the big game, which I thought started too late.
Absolutely.
I was really tired. I'm an old man, It's like,
I agree. They got a problem.
Come on, make it an hour earlier or something. It should have been like 7:30 Central. Then you have 8:30 Eastern. Both those schools are like Eastern time zones, anyways.
Yeah, right. I don't get it.
Yeah.
They
and then
want those numbers from the West Coast, I guess. But
Friday, Willis Twin Towers and weekend sports betting tips.
Yeah, but it looks like they're going to take this week off. So this Friday should be open for weekend sports betting tips.
We can go a little earlier.
Yeah, you can go earlier. Absolutely.
Nice. All right.
All right, so that's our programming for this week. Tooch, love you, and talk to you soon.
Love you too. Yep.
Dan Aguire, wherever
my wife is off tonight.
Look at you. You guys going to do this?
Probably.
Do the Mugambo?
I hope so.
I like it.
A little horny goat weed and some of that hot oil. hot, spicy massage oil.
That stuff works. Works.
Yeah,
that horny goat weed.
And whatever that oil is that makes you all tingly down there, man. Oof.
I haven't tried that, but I will.
Get enough of that.
All right, everybody. Good night.
All right. Good night.